This is it. All right, and we're live. Hello and welcome to Pankration Philosophy, episode 6. My name is Pocholo Cruz. This here is Scott McDonald in his chair.
I'm over here.
Old man McDonald.
Old man McDonald. I'm over. Don't bring that up ever again.
Never. Huge.
Yeah. I'm over here getting over a cold, and so I want to stay away from my co-host and our guest, who I'm really excited to have on. And I'm just pretty much trying to stay alive. So this might be my last podcast.
Okay.
I feel like I'm dying.
Yeah.
But then Shatreen's about to be a doctor, so I'm hoping after this.
Oh, let us live? Oh, no. Never mind. Okay, so, here's our special guest, Shatreen. Shatreen, go ahead and introduce yourself. Say hi.
Hi, I'm Shatreen.
I'm
like,
facts.
Let's see. I've trained at AMC since August of 2013.
Damn, that's a long time.
Wow.
It was August 2013. Came to AMC. I started training Muay Thai like only a little bit before that, like December 2012.
Where did you start though?
Oh, so I actually started doing Taekwondo when I was 8. So,
8.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, just like you.
Yeah, just like me.
Yeah. Okay, Taekwondo when you're 8.
Yeah, so I actually, there was back before 24-hour fitness. Oh, I'm dating myself, but there was Hearts Athletic Club.
I don't know what that is. No.
So it was like really local chain, but they had, free Taekwondo kids class there. And so my parents were just like, you have way too much energy, and just pushed me and were just like, go to the class. Please.
Hey, you should do something. Here you go.
You should stop jumping on our furniture. Like,
okay. So did you do it by yourself? I know you also have an older sister. Did your sister do it with you?
My sister did, she took the white belt test, but she was like, she was just like, this is stupid, like doing forms, and I'd be like taking it super seriously, and she'd be like, God,
look at this loser
like,
over
no,
here.
you don't understand. This is really important.
It's more than that. Okay, so we start.
Yeah.
And so you Taekwondo at 8, and then how long did you do that for?
I think I did that up until I was about 17 or 18.
Oh wow, so quite a bit.
Yeah, okay. I trained for quite a bit. I never really competed in it though. I definitely just
an activity.
Yeah, it was just like an activity I did. I mean, I just really enjoyed it, and I think to be honest, I was pretty shy when I was younger. So I think that even though I had the kind of I always had a just like ambitious kind of streak in me, I just was really shy about the idea of being in front of people and having to perform, and so I think that I didn't really engage that part of martial arts. And but it was I know that a lot of people knock traditional martial arts, but I really enjoyed it. I think it's if you're kind of starting off, I think it's a good way for kids to get involved. Like, they're pretty, you can find them almost everywhere, and
that's true.
So
I know Scott also had his beginning in Taekwondo.
What?
Yeah.
Scott and his younger brother Colin McDonald.
Yeah, it only lasted like 2 weeks. We were just taking off on kids.
Yeah. So yes.
They're like, go ahead and work your kata, and Colin were like, and then the sensei or whatever was like, stop. Go sit over there. Don't do that. That's inappropriate. All right, Colin, now you go. And Colin would go, okay, thinking that this brother's going to cooperate. And then he'd get up to the kid. All right, go sit over in the corner.
Yeah. Both of you are just done.
Yeah. Just a rambunctious McDonald brothers.
Just crazy.
Yeah. Your 9 years to Scott's 2 weeks.
I've actually thought about going back now and finding that old YMCA Taekwondo instructor and challenging him to a cage fight.
No, dude.
Sensei Mike.
Taekwondo.
Like,
you want to roundhouse kick the face of these bad boys on?
Like, I visualize it, going there with Muay Thai shirts and my 2 amateur belts and going, is Sensei Mike here? And they're like, no, all we have is like Pilates.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I need you to find Sensei Mike right now, or I'm not leaving.
Challenge the yoga teacher, be like her.
Yeah. He breaks into a Zumba class.
I'm like, what kind of shit is this? This isn't combat. I was like, I will destroy your instructor right now, and you will follow me.
Yeah, this is my dojo. Scott walks out of Zumba class with like a block, just a block.
29-year-old man assault Zumba instructor.
And then
What happened to the traditional honor of defending your dojo?
Yeah.
She clearly didn't defend it.
this dojo is mine now. He just starts to revolt. It's like,
All it is the handball court at YMCA. It's just fucking handball court.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Woo. Yeah, so that's how Scott got his start.
Yeah.
Anyway, so you did Taekwondo from about 8 to 17.
Yeah.
Okay, and then did you do any other martial art in between?
Yeah, when I was
Starting
20 for about 2.5, 3 years, I boxed.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, I boxed down at Cappy's boxing gym.
Okay.
It's used to be on 23rd and Union, but now it's
Okay, yeah.
It's
yeah.
totally-
That's a scrappy boxing gym.
Yeah.
yeah, it is. It was a really great place
Yeah.
to be.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. So
I feel like you gotta be tough if your nickname's Cappy.
I
I feel like that's how it is, like the old school you are.
Yeah.
The more cartoon sounding your nickname.
It's
is.
true.
Was Cappy an actual person?
Yeah, Cappy was an actual
So that's
person.
what
He
I
was my
thought, yeah.
coach. Yeah.
How
Yeah.
old was Cappy?
Cappy, I think, was like probably in his 40s or 50s. Like he definitely was like this like old looking like boxing coach with like all these like tattoos down his arms.
Did
But
he
he
wear
was,
like one of those? It's not a fedora. It's like the old newspaper boys in New York.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. It's like
Yeah.
I've definitely seen Vicious Vincent wear the hat.
Did he have did he have a cigar in his
Yeah.
mouth? He's like, Shatreen, you gotta take to the back.
Yeah.
Shatreen, you palookas.
Yeah, you got that one. Yeah.
Take to the body.
So pretty much you're talking about like that kind of had that Rocky's brother-in-law war.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the pork. I think it's
Yeah,
called like Polly war.
Cool.
Is that like the Porkpie hat or something?
oh
like
gosh,
that?
the pork pie.
So Cappy's like Polly.
Yeah, so it was like got the balls. Yeah, you got it. Take the body, man.
Shatreen, you gotta take to the body.
Just spoke with like an East Coast accent. You know,
She's like, Cappy, I've talked to you on the phone and you don't listen. It's my persona. Okay?
Yeah, all right. When I'm here, I'm Cappy. Okay, so you were at so you did boxing for about two years. Okay, and then so what led you? All right, so you did Taekwondo. What led you to find boxing, or what made you want to do boxing?
I think that I wanted something just a little more physical. I mean, I say more physical. I mean, something where, with Taekwondo, with the fighting, it's like you're just kind of bouncing on your toes. It's a lot of like reaction and hints and like these very flashy kicks. And I really, I don't know, I was just really interested in boxing, and I just thought, like I'd like to really do something where, it's a little more raw, where you're just in each other's faces more. I think it's like it's
one of the more like visceral experience.
Yeah, and I think whenever I've noticed, even when I've like boxed, like sparring, like it's just like you just get hit a lot more, because it's like there's only a few places, it's like when you're just focusing on like the head and the body, it's like it's just a lot more in your face. And I responded really well to that, and I really wanted I wanted that energy, and so I really enjoyed it. It definitely was. I think it came at like a good point in my life where it helped me kind of just rebuild like kind of my confidence and just feel more powerful in myself. And so I really enjoyed that aspect of boxing. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
So they did boxing, and then what came after that?
So then I did boxing, and then I went back to school, and I was on
School where?
I was did my undergrad at Yale.
What?
Shout out to Yale, elite institution.
Yeah. No one in Yale's watching.
No one at Yale's like.
Yeah, they like burned your
Pankration philosophy. It's like a dean.
Yeah, they have a whole class. I was like, guys, look, famous Yale alum
On
Shatreen.
Pankration philosophy.
Yeah. Oh boy.
But I mean, I went there. I was kind of more focused on school, and so I took kind of a break from martial arts. I was interested in getting back into boxing, and I think that there's a pretty big gym in New Haven that was kind of well known for years, but I think when I was there, like it was closed, or I think they were kind of financial trouble, so they weren't really able to keep the gym open. And so I was kind of like, well, that's not really an option. So then I just started looking into other combat sports, and and actually Muay Thai is really big, and at the time it was really big in kind of New England along the East Coast.
The East Coast area.
Yeah, and I think
and
I think it's partially because MMA wasn't legal at the time, and so
that's right. MMA wasn't legal in New York.
Yeah, so I think that and I think that really influenced and there was this big Muay Thai culture there where I think you see a lot more just strictly Muay Thai gyms there, and just a lot more competition. And so I walked into a gym in December of 2000, Muay Thai gym, and then I just fell in love with the sport. I mean, I loved it. It was I really enjoyed it. I think it was more of a traditional Thai style gym, where it's very much the slow tempo, like you're very much here, and it's you're like throwing as hard as you can. You're not really focused on footwork or combinations. It's very much like each punch or like strike counts, and so
that's exactly what I do right now.
No head movement.
Yeah, it's so and I did like that. I mean, it was interesting because then when I came to AMC, several months after that, it was like my style was completely that Muay Thai style where I had taken that on. And I remember Greg, one of the coaches at AMC.
Salty Sage.
Shout out to Salty Sage.
Yeah.
But I remember, he picked up on that where you were just so traditional Muay Thai and very telegraphed, and like feints and, and so then fighting a style more AMC where it's more flowing, more footwork, not quite as rigid. It for me because Thai style is just you're kind of just right in front of each other, and it's
that is interesting because I know Scott, you also came from traditional
you did.
It's crazy the parallels between your journey and mine. It's just like the same thing happened in my journey as I was in Aikido, and I just got to this point where I was like, this is not enough. It's not enough contact.
You want something more physical.
Yeah.
But to be honest with you, I was like, I don't know if this shit's gonna work. Other than the understanding of using someone's momentum against them, just like grabbing like wrist locks and stuff, because they would have you go. They would do stuff where you and your partner would stand in front of each other like that.
You got attack me like this.
No, do that much, and then you just the whole time, and I was like, who in the fuck? Like I remember like my second month, I was just thinking because I got a lot of street fights. I was like, who in the fuck is gonna karate chop me like that?
Yeah.
So then I talked to my sensei, and then there was a Muay Thai gym down the street. So I hopped on that.
I did cat
it was for that same.
I think it's Connor who's talking.
Oh, what's up, bro?
Hey.
Well, never mind. Let's keep going.
It was for the same reason. It was like how you described it is how I would describe it. Is I wanted more contact. So I wanted to ask you something though, because not to jump right into it, but we're missing a really big part of just your life, which is you've lived in I think more than one country outside of the U.S., right?
I mean, I've been
pretty much.
I mean, I haven't lived, but I've definitely been to a lot of different countries outside of the U.S. and stayed for different periods of time.
Okay, so it's back. So what led you to, I guess, visit those countries? Or what was the purpose?
Yeah, so in undergrad, I was actually I was pre-med
at Yale.
At Yale. Yes, I was at Yale.
MBD.
You're like most people that go to Harvard or Yale. It's just like fuck. I don't want to talk about Harvard or Yale.
Yeah.
But it's like I was really interested in pre-med, and I remember I thought for sure I was going to major in chemistry. Like I really liked it, and I thought like this is definitely what I'm going to do. And I actually wound up taking an African studies course just to fulfill, like one of the
elective.
Yeah, like like one of the electives.
The credits
it was like it was something where it was called like State in Africa. And it's about like political anthropology in Africa. And I really just was. I mean, I was pretty blown away because I had never really thought that deeply about different African countries, and it really kind of opened my mind up just to the continent. And so that was when I actually, after that class, I decided to change my major, become an African studies major.
Oh, wow. Okay. It influenced you that much.
Yeah, it was really, and I think at the time I was also taking a lot of global health, medical anthropology classes. And so, I think that even though I enjoyed chemistry, I thought I really wanted to challenge myself and do something just a little bit different from what I had been used to, where, I was going to do this very kind of prototypical pre-med route where you either major in biology or chemistry, you know, you work in a lab, you do bench research. But I think for me, it was kind of like, I don't know if that really spoke to me, you know, if that was really what I wanted to do or if that was what I thought I should be programmed to do.
Kind of veered off that.
Yeah, so then it really spoke to my interest to major in African studies. So then, you know, I studied Swahili and French in college. And, you know, because I was really interested in East Africa. The first time I went out to any part of Africa I was actually in Liberia. I worked for the Ministry of Health. I was an intern on this it was like a pilot project to address the maternal mortality rate. And
so it was in like a health care field.
Yeah, so and so I was there for about 2 months, I think.
So I'm not good with geography. Where is Liberia?
Liberia is on the western coast of Africa.
So west coast of Africa.
It's like it borders like Sierra Leone and Cote d'Ivoire. It's you know, very much a post-conflict country that was rebuilding the health infrastructure, and so and I was interested in kind of post-conflict health and women's health, and so so I got really drawn into being there, and you know, it was definitely very eye-opening experience. It was, you know, it was just I think that you know, just seeing all the challenges of like, what do, you know, when the country, you know, just needs to be completely rebuilt, and you know, there's just all this trauma, and you know, just this like legacy of war, and so so it was definitely really it was challenging, but just a really interesting experience. And then I wound up the next summer I was in Kenya for about a month and a half, 2 months, coastal Kenya, Mombasa. I studied Swahili there. And then, so I studied Swahili there, was there. And then the summer after that, I spent about 3 months in Eastern Congo. And I worked for a local NGO on like doing research on barriers to family planning in that particular area. So I had a lot of different experiences in different parts of Africa. So it was really amazing.
So I had another. So I could be wrong. Is in Liberia? Is that where Monrovia is?
Yeah, I was in Monrovia. Yeah, the capital. Yeah,
and that's named after
Monroe. Yeah,
and that's where enslaved people were actually taken from, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So U.S. President James Monroe.
A little history lesson there. I just had a kind of important question, and it's just a part of our topics are usually philosophy here, or it is. It's all philosophy. But you said you witnessed like what it was like or the challenges of rebuilding a country. So I'm assuming you saw like infrastructure that was completely depleted, poverty on a whole another scale. What did that do? Like, how did that juxtapose like life in Western society or in America? Like, what are some privileges here that aren't there? Or, like, what did that do? Like, suffering.
You know, I think I remember, you know, like there were, of course, the basic things like, you know, running water and electricity, you know, where it was like,
I take for granted.
I know, you know, it's something that, like now, but like I remember when I came back from Liberia, like getting a hot shower, having a flushing toilet, it felt like a luxury to feel like these things that now, like, I don't even think about. Like, you know, right now, if I want to get a glass of water, I'll just go to your faucet, or I'll go to fancy fridge, you know, get the nice filtered water, you know, like, but I don't think but, like, I don't think about that. But, you know, these things that, you know, I had always taken for granted or I never thought of, suddenly it was like, this is a luxury. And me being able to have even electricity for like a couple hours a day is a big luxury, you know, and that was something I never thought of. Even the idea of security being a luxury, you know, when I was in Eastern Congo, I was about to go to Goma, which is I was in Bukavu, which is kind of the main big city in the Kivu region. And I was going to go to Goma, which is another city. But right before I was going to go, I think it was a few days, or the day before we were going to head out, actually, the rebels came and took the constant thing. And so, you know, it was just, and I think it was interesting because just the idea of like security and safety being something for granted, you know, where I don't have to worry about, you know, a bunch of, you know, rebels coming in and taking over Kirkland, you know.
You say that now.
Oh wait, I see that. It's the same rebels from Congo.
Oh crap! Get the guns.
No, absolutely right.
Yeah, and I think that I think when I was in Eastern Congo, just even my role as a woman in this society versus seeing how women are in that society was really it was very different because I think in Eastern Congo it's just I was talking a lot to women about women's roles, family planning, and a lot of the women said, look, I don't want to have 6 to 8 kids. Like, I don't, but like they didn't even know what family planning was. But, for a lot of them, they just didn't have a choice. It was like I think, what did they say? They said, what is it? Oh, wake ni kuteswa, which means the life of women is torture.
Oh, wow.
That's in Swahili. It's like, but I remember they were just like,
saying that
no, it's just a quote. Like, I mean, a lot of women would say that. It wasn't just to say. It was just something they would say where they would say, it's like you wake up early. You breastfeed the youngest baby because you always have like a young baby. Mm-hmm. You have to pick which kids to send to school. You go outside. You work. You work all day in the fields, then you have to come home and lay down for your husband. And then you don't have a choice over when you get to have children. It's a lot more of a difficult life. And then, especially in Eastern Congo, there was a lot of widespread rape. And when I was there, with the particular group I was working at, they had their own kind of community center, and a lot of young girls would come who had been raped and were pregnant, and their families had basically kicked them out because it's a very big shame to, in that particular area, and especially to get pregnant. And a lot of girls would abandon their babies there, so you'd have a lot of orphans there. And and when I was there was a girl who came, and she was, I think she was only 14 or 15. She just had this baby face, and she had this big belly, and her mom had brought her, and her mom was like, and the girl was probably 8.5 months. Like, she was about to give birth, and her mom was like, I can't have her in the house because this is a shame to our family. And it was basically like, kind of like, she's your responsibility now to the organization. And and I remember, and the girl, I think she was only like 14 or 15, and she'd been working in the fields when 4 of I think that she wasn't sure which group they were because they were actually wearing plain clothes. Like a rebel group, it was like some group, but it was 4 men who came on her, and like she had machete scars on her, and and after that, she was pregnant, and so it was just it was pretty horrific to see that, and then to recognize that she represents shame to her family. That this isn't something that happened to her. It's not her fault. It's the fact that the fact that she's pregnant, been sullied in this way, means that she's not she's a mark on the family. And I think that was really difficult to see, to see that kind of attitude, and to see just how much suffering that brought. And so I think that did change my perspective quite a bit when I came back to the US. So
that's powerful. The other thing that's powerful is like you could have definitely just stayed in the ivory tower of Yale and just been like, and just kind of been safe, but you didn't guard yourself in pursuit of that specialized degree and then majoring in African studies. It's amazing. And I think it's a good segue to, because I know we've talked about this, and I want to know more. You ended up in Afghanistan at some point?
Oh, no.
Were you born in Afghanistan?
I wasn't. My parents are. My sister was born in Afghanistan, but I do have a lot of family members who go back there. I have wanted to go, but
So I'd love to go.
No, I've never been, but my family's definitely like.
I wonder why.
Which is funny because they're like Eastern Congo. But Afghanistan,
no, that's dangerous.
Too far, Shatreen, too far. But I've never gone. I have had friends, Afghan friends who, I had one who after college, she went and lived there, worked there for 2 years. And, she was like me, where she was born in the US and kind of, part of that big Afghan refugee diaspora. And I think she had always wanted to go back, and she did. But I think, she definitely, she's back here, but it's just not, it's unstable. It's not, there's just so much violence, and it's so, especially with suicide bombs and bombs is just so, it's unpredictable. It's not like you can be like, oh, this rebel group is here and this is where they're approaching in their movements. It's like
a rogue country.
Yeah. It's like you just don't know when
Very
the violence.
unstable.
Yeah, it's very
So you are Afghani?
Yes, yeah.
So what the Afghani culture? It's always been said about Afghanistan, and there's multiple tribes there, but the Afghan people, they say, almost there's been so many military excursions there from Alexander the Great, Genghis Khan, England. We tried. There's this warrior culture. I know it's also patriarchy for sure, and you have Sharia that's trying to be implemented there. But does your heritage feed your fighting style? Is there? Because I've seen you fight, and there's Shatreen you train with, but when you fight, it's like this. It's this passion, but it's just aggression. Yeah. Where you're no, you are not going to get a shot in on me. You are not. So I don't know if I might be reaching here.
No.
But I want to know more about that.
No, I think that's a good point. I think especially on certain tribes, especially among the Pashtun tribe, which is my mom's tribe. My dad's tribe is Tajik, but especially among the Pashtuns, there's the Pashtun Wali, which I think is talked about, and it's supposed to be the Pashtun code of honor, and it's about things like homeland and this idea of kind of protecting your women and fighting for your country and revenge and all these different things that are part of this code. And it's kind of interesting because it's not a very Islamic code. It's kind of its own, it's I'm sure probably now with Islam coming to Afghanistan, I just wonder if that particular code kind of predates it as well. But I think I do wonder if that did influence me to an extent, because I think not necessarily from my parents, but definitely from my uncle and my cousins. My uncle was a mujahideen, and he fought the Soviets. So
what's mujahideen?
It was part of the holy warriors, who fought
the
Soviets. So, and interestingly, he had actually studied
the Soviets.
This shirt is satire, by the way.
He actually wore this on purpose for this podcast.
Yeah. Also, we do not.
You were with the mujahideen.
The Soviet invasion.
Yeah, that we do not condone. We also do not condone child pornography. Just to state again.
No, this is satire. There's a movie called Death of Stalin. It's funny. It's hilarious. Check it out.
Do you condone action genes though? Is that's the question?
Oh yeah, most things are anti-communist.
Called the action genes. But yeah.
But so Mujahideen is holy warrior, and then the person that is the holy warrior is
Mujahid. Mujahid. Yeah, and so he had it was funny because he had studied in Kiev, and so he spoke Russian fluently, he did his medical training
so this
there.
Is your uncle?
Yeah, and so I remember he told us his story, which was pretty crazy, where he just literally left Kabul overnight because the Communist Party was trying to get him to swear fealty to them, and he's like,
oh wow,
no.
Okay.
I think that it's interesting because you really couldn't be apolitical at that point. No. It's you had to really.
Well, you had to make your choice. Who are you with? Who
and you had to be completely loyal to the party. Speak whatever they said, and so I think
this was the Communist Party.
In Afghanistan. Yeah. So he, he fled Kabul, and then I think he was probably on the border with Pakistan, and I don't know how long he was there for, but we have photos of him where he grew a full beard, had a little Kalashnikov, and was just
it's such a historic photo. She's little Kalashnikov. It's just my uncle. It's just my uncle. Crossing border, supporting the Mujahid. He's just fighting against the Soviets.
Oh, there's uncle over there. Oh man,
now
it's so crazy.
So
it's interesting because during this time when your uncle's fighting in the United States, Osama bin Laden is literally appearing in our newspapers and being lauded as a hero. A Saudi freedom fighter who is trying to overthrow the red regime, Communist Party.
Yeah.
And then we see what happens with 9/11. It's just such a different time. People are driving around in the United States with "I support the Mujahideen" bumper stickers.
I know, that's the craziest thing. I'm like, what?
After 9/11.
I know, I think right now, if you were to have that, people would be like,
was your the focus is on you, but just a quick question about your uncle. Was he a particularly religious man? Or?
No, he wasn't actually. But for him, he really identified it as this idea of like protecting his homeland, where he was like
nationalist.
Yeah, like it was more of a nationalist. It was interesting because
front.
he's not like even now he is not. I'm like full disclosure, he drinks. A Muslim, but like he's not
like
he's not like this very like religious type of person. So for him it wasn't ever about religion. It was more like, well, these invaders are coming into my home and they're and so it was this idea of protecting his country. And so so he did that, and and so I think that I grew up kind of influenced by those stories of this idea of fighting.
So he told you stories.
About and I'd always seen his picture, growing up, and and I think that it was something that you just kind of grew up and it was imbued with, where it was like if you're an Afghan, like you don't like you're just a little fighter, you're just kind of like you don't you're never going to give up, and you're not going to let, someone like push you around and all that stuff, which is funny because I'm like the shyest. Like I was so shy growing up. My parents were just like everyone else was born in Afghanistan and I was born here in the US. So they're always like, oh, Shatreen's the little American. So I'd be like,
But it's crazy that you say that because your fighting style is not timid.
No, but I feel it's that dichotomy of that though.
Yeah.
So talking about more onto you and your style, because you also said in Taekwondo you felt like you're very shy, didn't want to.
Yeah, I didn't.
Okay,
like
so then what?
Like, this is bullshit.
So now let's talk about your shift, towards fighting. So clearly, when you started, Muay Thai, and then started, training at AMC. So what made you pretty much what made you want to fight?
What made you? I think for me, fighting became it almost became like a challenge for myself. It was something that I was just so afraid of doing, of putting myself. It wasn't so much. I mean, I get thrown around all the time at the gym by Karo, so it's like
sparring.
I mean, sparring.
Yeah.
No, he just walks in and he's like,
Also, like, all right,
Shatreen.
Hey, Mitchell, hey, Scott.
And that's how Shatreen injured her knee.
It's like into that right now.
There's that clarification.
Yeah.
Sparring.
I was like, well, if someone were just listening. This is guy just just slapped her around.
Just smacked her around, and I'm injured now. So.
So it was a challenge because it's something vastly different.
It was.
What you've done before.
I think it was kind of this idea of like really challenging myself and putting myself out there. I think it was it's a feeling of vulnerability. To really be up there and be in front of a bunch of people. Because you've been in front of fighting crowds, and like a lot of people who don't know the art will just be like, cut his head off or whatever. Like they'll just
they won't say this. They'll be like, rip his head off. Elbow.
There's like one guy just like an axe. He's like, what is this? I thought this was axe.
Yeah, where's the axe? It's just that general bloodlust.
Yeah, it's like
it's why people used to watch executions.
Yeah, exactly.
That was how they passed the time.
Games,
they go, are you not entertained?
Yeah, exactly. And so, it's, and then you have people, yelling, and I think it was just the idea of being under these bright lights and really performing. And so then I thought, what, this really scares me. And this is something that, I've just kind of been more of a reserved person. Yeah. And so I thought that this would be a good challenge for me to move forward and start fighting and really challenging myself, because I think also, when you're fighting in front of a bunch of people, your style does change. Some people will, who are like just, totally wailing on people at the gym will kind of freeze up, or some people will suddenly, oh my gosh, I never knew you had that in you, so.
And that's what you just described at the end. We're watching your smoker, and I just felt so sorry for your opponent because you were just hitting her so hard and just kicking. I was just like, that's Shatreen? Oh my god! I was like,
I wasn't that surprised.
I was like, did she talk shit to Shatreen? Like, because in sparring, I mean, at least my sessions with you are aggressive, but it was more like technical. You're trying to embrace the technique.
Well, I didn't see that at all.
So I guess you're whooping Porkpie.
I just saw Fist of Fury coming at me at all times. No, but I feel though that's an interesting point that you said. I feel like when well, martial arts in any form is just a form of expression. I feel like that's just you expressing yourself. So even though you are this like reserved person, I feel it's just that, when people are under the lights, their true persona shows. Yeah. So it's interesting because some people who are quote unquote gym bullies, they're not the same when the lights are on them, because I feel like that's not who they truly are. They're just trying to cover up their weakness. Yeah. Whereas for you, I feel like you haven't been quite to a point where you've had to show like your strength, but I feel you're a lot stronger than which is what shows like when you fight from there. And I feel that's just how it goes in terms of fighting. Like your personality like shows throughout. Yeah. Because like three of us train together, but all of us when we fight differently. Yeah. But it's also it's like your fingerprint. It's just like it's who you are. Like if I saw like a silhouette of like Scott fighting, I could know who that was just because I know how Scott moves. Yeah. So if I saw you and vice versa, and I'm sure you guys like saw me, you would probably understand like who it was. It's just because there's the movements, there's the actions. Because I feel like at the core of it, it's your identity, and it's just because your actions are powered by your thoughts, and your thoughts are powered by your character. Yeah. And that's who you are. So
I'm a little concerned now with that analysis because my nickname was the Psycho. So does that mean I'm truly insane?
No, I don't think you're truly insane. I think that was like.
Who gave you that nickname? Where did that come from? Like,
first of all, I can't stand that nickname.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, but this is what I was told, and I fought in Tri-Cities. It was my third fight, and I fought this guy who looked like he walked out of the Road Warrior.
Yeah.
First of all, he didn't show.
2 men enter, 1 man leave.
It was in Tri-Cities. Yeah. It was outside, like literally. When you walk, it was at this bar. Yeah. You walk out, there's the ring, and there's just desert. Yeah. It was crazy, but he didn't weigh in. Is what Drew told me, Drew Bogenshire. Yeah. And anyway, I remember at the beginning of the fight, this was my second fight. I came out, I touched gloves, and I almost knocked him out with what I knocked my last opponent out with, which was a 10 to the body, and the opponent in my first fight, Sean, ran into my knee. So I almost knocked this guy out, and I didn't, and then I was mad because I didn't knock him out in the first round, and I was frustrated in the corner, and then I submitted him, and I did the stupidest thing. I taunted him, like I choked him, and then I went, and I feel like I was. You did that. Whoever was trying to talk to me, he couldn't talk to me, and then that's when he was like, "Scott's fucking crazy." Yeah. And I think more it was just a reference to the intensity. Yeah.
But I think it's just the intensity, and I think Psycho. That's from like a very that's from an outside stance. That's what someone would term. I think for you, Scott, you're just very driven, and you're intense. Like when you see something, like you go out and get it, and that's just how it is. I feel like that's like psychotic to normal people. Like from there, like from you.
That sounds like single-minded. Like it's very intense. But
when I think about you, think of driven. Yeah. That's why I think.
Yeah.
Driven and you're passionate.
Scott Driven McDowell.
Exactly. That sounds lame, but.
And then Trevor Jackson was like.
No. Think about it. If some fighting crowd heard of Driven McDowell, did he drive himself here?
Did you think this? I'm like,
we're not homophobic.
What I was imitating was a common fight fan.
Yeah,
so that's true.
That's exactly what you think about.
It's funny we're bringing this up because Trevor was trying to convince me throughout my career to come out in a straitjacket.
Yeah,
really?
Yeah, he was like, man, we could do a universal straitjacket.
Yeah,
and then
like
you'll just come out like this. And I was like, Trevor, no, I don't want to. And then I fought. In my pro debut, I remember Craig Jackson. Do you know who that is? Do you remember Craig Jackson? Yeah. He was training with us. Yeah. And then he watched me fight, and he was like, dude, they should call you the Psycho. I was like, they already do. He's like, because you fight So, but I agree with you guys. It really is it is expression. Yeah. And it's interesting because there's training in the gym, and it's easy for people to be assholes in that setting because the stakes aren't high.
Yeah, because the stakes are low.
Yeah. They're real low. So if you're beating everyone's ass in the gym, to me, that doesn't tell me you're going to fight.
Yeah, that's true.
When you're underneath the lights, in front of a crowd, that pressure, there's a lot to perform even at the amateur level, and so something does come out. And I think our histories, our backgrounds, our experiences, everything is kind of displayed there.
Exactly, because that's all what crafted you to become who you are. Yeah, and that gets displayed there.
And again, this is just my subjective interpretation. But when I saw you fight Shatreen, I found out you were Afghani. I was like, it just makes you just fight like with that tenacity. Like, it's like, you will not overcome me. Like, some people sit back and they're like, I'm smooth, and you're smooth, but you just fight like, I will not give you an inch. And so it makes sense that like that was your upbringing. And I want to segue too into, because we asked Morgan about this, and I'm not asking this question for any reason other than to just open up the uniqueness of being a woman in a combat sport that is highly masculine. So what was that like coming into the sport? So the first question is, what was it like just training with guys? Like, any interactions that were you're kind of like, what the fuck? Or was there like, were you received warmly? And then after that is like, how did your family react?
I mean,
those are too heavy. It's like kind of weighted, but that's just how
here we go.
You know, I think that luckily at AMC, I feel like for the most part, you know, I've been treated really well by the guys there. I mean, obviously, you know, I wouldn't be on this podcast if I didn't like you guys and think you were deep. Brandon, even if he's out in the outback somewhere right now.
No, he's on the online Silverback MMA.
So
shout out to Silverback MMA.
So put a plug in. But you know, I found that I really got lucky with you know, these men who were willing to, like, you know, train me and really treated me as a martial artist, as a fighter, you know, and they didn't, you know, just see me as like, you know, a girl. I think, you know, or I think I had told you this, Scott, but there was, you know, someone who was pretty, I mean, I think like, you know, of course you get these comments from like people outside of the gym, but you know, within the gym, you know, you don't really get these kinds of comments, but like, oh, you know, you're too pretty to fight. But for me, when I heard it, it was the person I heard it from, and I'm not going to say it, but it was someone who was very accomplished, you know, in fighting, you know, had this very long storied career. And so for me, it wasn't just about, oh, someone saying this, because it's like, of course, you know, people,
I was there when they said it.
Like, because I remember, like, and funny enough, that was the second or third time he had said it, who has done that. And so it's really hard not to take that personally. And to be honest, I really wanted to learn from him as well, because, you know, he had an interesting style. And like, you know, I think that for me, I always want to learn from anyone that I can. And so having that encounter happen, it was like, okay, I can't be around this person anymore, you know? Yeah. And so I think, you know, when that happened, it was kind of like, it was just unfortunate, because it's like, it just, I mean, of course it says more about his mentality, but for me, it was kind of the loss of like a potential, you know, source of knowledge, you know, someone.
And just I'll let you finish too, but for me, that was an eye-opening experience, because like I was finishing my degree at UW and like going to all these enlightening classes on social justice and inequity. I remember when he said that, and then not only did that person do that, but then they approached me and they were like, oh yeah, man, what is it like, you know, you're training with girls? And I was like, I'm training with another martial artist. Mm-hmm. And then I just was like, dude, I told this one, I was like, this boys club, like a men's club, like men only. And then like, you should have heard all the comments that happened after that. I was just done with it, because I was like, Shatreen is a great training partner, period. Mm-hmm. You know, she pushes me, she's approached me and wants to work the clinch. She's helped me revisit techniques that I utilized in a very long time. So for me, that was like a breakthrough. When I was never actually conscious of like that difference in women training, what y'all had experienced, and just how easy it kind of is for me to integrate into that hyper masculine environment and just not have to deal with anything other than just the perseverance or maybe training relationship issues. What you have to deal with is completely different. It's those comments. It's other things. I've heard other stories that are just like, you know, making my eyes open up wide. So. Yeah, but I appreciate that. Just shows your perseverance too. Just kind of going like, that's a stupid ass thing for you to say, and I'm gonna keep training.
It's
and especially from someone that you look up to.
And I think because it's like, you know, it's you know, of course it's discouraging, but you know, it's like, you know, if he doesn't want to teach me, or if he doesn't feel like he takes me seriously enough, then well, it's his loss too. You know, like he lost me as a student. You know, and maybe I may not have, you know, this long storied career, but I could have, you know, learned a lot from him and been able to incorporate that into my style. So, you know, so I look at it that way, and it's like, you know, and then I moved on to better, you know, people like you guys, you know, Greg, you know, Brandon. I mean, I moved on to people, Briggs, you know, people who were willing to treat me just as a martial artist and take me seriously and know, you know, you want to learn, of course I'm going to teach you, you know, that. So I think, but I think those experiences, unfortunately, are just really like they're just so common.
Yeah.
And I think luckily at AMC, the thing I love is that Matt really keeps like such a positive atmosphere, and he really doesn't tolerate, any of that kind of stuff. Like he really, that's the reason why I think I love that gym so much is because, I've always felt completely respected as a martial artist coming to learn. I never felt like, oh, I'm a woman, or like, oh, if this guy talks to me this way, that's tolerated, or if this guy does this, like.
It's not like you come into the gym and there's a giant pillow fort, and all the guys are trained in there with no girls. Like it's just like you can easily get that feeling. Too.
Yeah.
I remember I'll end it on this. I remember the guys that trained with this person you're talking about giving me shit about training with you, and I was like, I'm getting better work with Shatreen than what you guys are doing, and that's why I'm out here. That's why I'm investing my time. So it's like obviously I'm getting something out of it.
It just shows a very backward sense of thinking, just in a total sense. And it's like you said, they've lost you, and it just shows like how it's just closed-mindedness. And I think closed-mindedness that has no place here. And it's just in terms of learning overall, but especially in terms of martial arts, that just shows like, because what else are you going to be closed-minded about? From there. And I feel like
don't tell me about your politics, man. I don't want to know.
I don't want to hear about it, but I feel like, that's what I feel is good, because I've never looked at people as like lesser just because of who they are from there, because like Scott says, like I've only seen you as a martial artist. Like, that doesn't affect.
The only person I don't see as a martial artist is Ender.
Yeah.
That guy is
because you know what? I don't see Ender right now. Right. And I can't see him. But
Ender's
no
wages
shout
are
out.
getting you
And that's on the record.
Yeah, exactly. I know what he's not on right now, a date. But so anyway, back onto important things. But I feel it just shows like, it's just like any relationship you have with people is that people either find a way to stay in your life or they'll find a way out. And it's just like anything. And I think it's very big of you to not let that dissuade you. But I feel that it's how you can't let stuff like that dissuade you. Especially because if you're going on to like a certain path, people aren't going to agree with you. From there. And I think especially me, like on like how I see like in my path, like people that I respect, they don't necessarily know much about martial arts, like my family, but they just don't, for better or worse, just don't really get like what I do. And, it's like, that's a little bit more difficult because it's not like I can't just take them out of my lives. I can't, it's a shame that they cannot share something in my life that's very important to me, that they can't see eye to eye with me on that, but I still...
Do you feel like they judge you for it? Like they see it as like, oh, you're being you're doing this because you're angry at the world.
You're angry because you're oh, what did we not raise you right? From here, like why just violent? But it's okay. Well, I've gone to rationalize it. It's just they've come from a different way of thinking. Like I'm just and it's not that I may not agree with it, but I can't let that stop me. I can't let that, because they can't live their life for me. I can only live it like for them, and I can't live for them. From there. So I can respect their decision, but I can still go another way, and that's because I'm Filipino. I come very traditional, like a Roman Catholic setting. So they don't. They really just don't. They don't see. God grants you the power to commit genocide to other people, but not the power to do violence. So what hell do I know? But that's.
Give me Father for I was whooping that ass.
But it's like it just didn't quite correlate with me from there. But okay, so because that's the second part of Scott's question. So how does your family deal with with your martial arts journey?
I think my dad has definitely been like, don't get hurt. He's just of course they just were more. I think my parents were definitely more concerned about me getting concussed, especially since I do I'm interested. I'm going into medicine, and so and a lot of that does involve your brain. So I think they were more worried. For them, it wasn't about if your nose gets broken. It was more like, what if you get concussed and you're not able to function? And that's actually a really valid point, because I've definitely seen some bad concussions in our gym, where you're like, and we're like, like I saw, one of our training partners, when she got concussed, she just could not, like, she had to like lie in a dark room for weeks, and wasn't supposed to think, and like that, and that's I think, it's scary, and I think, especially since I'm going into something where I will have to use my, my brain and really rely on my memory, and and really think through things. I do have to consider that as well.
You just have to think in life.
Yeah, so I mean,
I guess not everyone. I've seen some examples of people that have managed to go through.
It's just a different type of thing with like specialized fields. Though. I know exactly what you're talking about. It's like being a paralegal, like it's just this working memory drain. Yeah. Because you have to, like, in our profession, like, you have to remember case law, you have to remember the fact pattern, you have to see what arguments can be formulated, because the attorney comes in as like, I need you to find this piece of evidence, I need you to look at this case law, and it's different. So I can see why that would be a concern from your family. Does your uncle know you're fine?
Yeah, he does. He he loves it. He shows he shows my videos to people. He was like, he's like, he's like, the blood is strong.
Just like how I fought the Russians.
But yeah, and I thought it was interesting. I think, Scott, because you talked about being like a paralegal, and I did that, the working memory, and I think, I've been since I've been injured, I've kind of, taken a step back. And it's interesting because sometimes when I come back and I've talked to some of our teammates who have been concussed, like, if they've been concussed several times, and you can tell, because sometimes they'll talk and they'll kind of almost forget what they're talking about, and kind of repeat stories. And that to me was really frightening. And I think that's when I started thinking more. And to be honest, like, before I got injured and, and tore my ACL, I didn't think, I kind of, it's kind of plausible deniability, because it's like,
out of thought.
Yeah, because you have to accept a certain amount of danger or risk, right, when you're stepping into the ring. Yeah. But then when I started seeing the effects, where it's like, I'm talking to my teammates and they can't remember what they're saying, it became more, it was like, taking a step away and seeing that and realizing, gosh, what kind of toll it takes on your body. And then, especially, you, but like.
Well, because then it freaks you out, too. Yeah. You're opening this door to this discussion is like, because we all have moments where it's like, we're deep in conversation, and we're like, what was I talking about? Or where was I going? And when I find myself having those moments, sometimes I'm just like, fuck, is that because I've been hit in a fight? And my career, I took very little damage. I was thankful, but I've been hit. I've been stunned, I think 2 times really bad. Yeah. Never dropped, but it's scary, right? Yeah. And it's I've heard, I hope we've all seen Concussion, or it's like Concussion, where he takes the most powerful scene in that movie. There's a ton of them, is where he takes, I think it's a ball or an egg or something in a glass jar, and he's going like that. And it's like, even just a little bit of a motion like this, or your neck moving forward or backwards, the brain, there's fluid in here, so it hits the front and the back. So I have concerns about that. Yeah. So mental health, and like, I worry about guys in the gym too, who like maybe having issues and not talking about it. Yeah. There's an ex-teammate of ours who, I'm pretty sure he had a lengthy college football career, and then took a lot of damage in his fights, and I'm sure there's something there. And it's scary. So it's like, we all have to confront that. Yeah.
Because we all have to be concerned.
And we want a life. Like, I don't fight anymore, and so like, I'm glad.
There's a life beyond it.
I think that's something that also getting injured made me think about, is like, life after, because you can't fight indefinitely unless you're one of those people fighting for prison, and you're just like, 55, still going,
And not everyone has the opportunity that you have. Right? You go to medical school, and that's the thing where it's like, we have to be humble too, is it's like, just opportunities we have. Some people, that's it. Like,
that's true. There's some people who, like, this is their out, like that. And that was the thing that I always remember, was that, like, I'm pretty lucky because I do have other things, that, like, I really enjoy, but there are other people who, this is it for them. This is what they, that, they can't see themselves doing anything outside of it. And you definitely see, like, I remember I was reading an article, was talking about how, the Muay Thai champions, after, they peak when they're super young, right?
What's the after?
Like 14, 15,
Yeah.
16, 17, they're like Lumpini champions, and then you see them later on and it's like, in their 20s, it's like they're over the hill, they're used up, and that's just weird to think of, especially
over the hill.
Yeah, and especially with our fighting culture here in the U.S. with MMA, it's like your 20s, it's like you're up and coming, you're getting to your peak, and so it's interesting to start thinking more about longevity and because I think longevity in the sport means being a martial artist, and working to improve rather than I want to fight, I want to be under the lights. I think for me it means, how do I incorporate this into my life, from a broader perspective?
Yeah, so not just the fighting about it. Yeah, no, I think that's very important. I think that's something everyone, because I think even though more people will tend to look at it, later in their career, I feel like that's something any point of that they should think about. Yeah. Because it's a thing, because it's going to end. It's going to end sooner, maybe sooner than you think. It could be later than you think, but there's a shelf life. But yeah, what are you going to say?
There's a shelf life, and there's also a lot of people in the gym who have that dream, especially our gym, AMC.
Yeah, they have that
to go to the big show, to go to
UFC, to be the champion.
And I've talked to guys at the gym where they're like, "This is it. This is my shot. I don't want to think about anything else, and I can't think about anything else, or I won't be able to go forward. I'll start doubting."
They need that drive.
But but the most intelligent thing to do is to have a plan B. Yeah. And so coming back into the gym after being gone for a while and having invested my time, my mind into other things, I try to bring that. Yeah. Just because I'm like, look, this is a business.
Yeah.
This is gonna take. If you had any sort of martial arts spirit, and I mean, we all cultivate it differently, right? Yeah. There's the pure athlete who may not care about the spirituality. But there's something they get out of it. Yeah. But the UFC, it'll take that from you.
Oh yeah.
It'll take it. It'll commodify it, and if you aren't performing or if you're not doing what they want, they will just throw you.
Yeah, it's such a business.
You matter nothing to them.
Yeah, because you look at DJ and just the way he's been. Who? I don't.
No, you might as well, really. Yeah,
who might as well say you have this incredible, you have DJ, and just the way that he's been. We've seen how he's been treated. It's just shocking because it's like a doctor, so DJ's equivalent as a doctor would be some Nobel Prize winner, some. And that guy would get accolades. He would get recognized. He would get some, crazy professor. He would be set. With DJ, it's like he's not. He's constantly challenged or said, you're ducking so and so, and you're not doing this, and
he's not even the highest paid.
And that's just so frustrating.
Not even close.
It's so frustrating because it's like he is working on his craft and working and constantly growing and improving, and it's like. You just see that. You think that in any other career, that would be respected, get all the crowds in. It's the
entertainment value.
It's the entertainment. And, I get that. Fighting is always boxing. You've always had the promoters and, that whole, you can see it with all these crazy, weird fights like McGregor. And in any other career, they would be appreciated. They'd be recognized, and to not see that equivalent.
And you're absolutely right, because and on some levels, not even on some levels, just straight up, that is DJ's genius.
Yeah.
He's a kinetic genius. The way he moves, the way he's able to combine multiple techniques. No one else in the game does that. Yeah. And he should be treated like that.
No one else in the game has even come close.
Yeah. No one's come close at all.
And honestly, when he's all said and done, I don't think there's going to be. People are gonna realize that they missed something special. Yeah, because they're not gonna see it
ahead of his time. I guess. I think I think I think that it's gonna be one of those that people look back on and are like,
wow, how did we miss that?
And that's they're gonna be doing all the Lawrence Kenshin breakdowns of all these different how many different fights could you break down and just be like, look at this little technique, look what he did.
I like how Joe Rogan always refers to DJ as the guy that up and coming fighters should watch. That's why I feel blessed, is even in my style as it expresses itself today is very similar to his because of how much training I did. And I'm just glad that I'm able to take those things that he does, not do them exactly like he does, but bring them back to show how successful his different techniques are, and just his way of thinking about fighting, which is very pure way of fighting. He looks at it like a job, but I think it's not like an exploitative way or like he wants to be a dick. He works hard at his job. The guy used to work at like a plant where like he was creating pipes or was it pipes?
Yeah, like he
did some labor job.
He did some like labor warehouse job. Like DJ to me is like the quintessential workman.
Yeah.
Who's just
collar,
goes in, does his job, goes out, just like there's like no fluff.
Yeah.
And but that's the thing, and he's been like that. Like you've been there since you fought DJ.
Yeah.
and then trained with him. I've known him for years. And it's not like there is no, the DJ is who he is.
Yeah.
Well, there's a story he told me, and I'm going to use this to the but I think DJ also has. He told me this, like when he fought Amakal the second time, he felt like he hit a wall. Technically,
really,
yeah. Like there was something that he was going through, and I just remember him describing to me. He was like, he doesn't get very vulnerable, but he did with me. He's like, dude, I was just so frustrated. I was like almost in tears because I felt like there was a part of my game that was lacking, and I was trying to work with Matt, and I couldn't get it. And I feel like on some level, DJ had to like confront himself and what he was going to be.
Yeah.
And he may not say that, but that's what I gathered from it. Is it's like, dude, he always would just reject any type of criticism. Like, bro, you can be a world champ. Like Matt was talking to him, like Custom Model talked to Tyson, like, bro, you can be champion of the world. You know that? Quit your fucking job. Yeah. And on some level, even though DJ is amazing and great, I think part of him didn't really believe that.
Yeah.
He's like, no, I need to keep my job. Like this is a big risk. So he was confronting all that pressure, but then like in his mind, his inability to like get certain things to reach that level. But then he had a breakthrough, and then he just fucks Animal. What is present in that story? And just in his career is like he has really confronted himself. He talked what he said his skill set or his main motivator is his own will. He's like, my will not be broken. He's like, I remember he told me that because I used to be super religious and shit. He's like, see, Scott, you believe in God, I believe in my will. Is that I will not let someone break me. And at the center of martial arts is just confronting the self.
Yeah.
The deep parts of yourself, the vulnerable parts of yourself, like you talked about, the undiscovered parts of yourself.
Yeah.
Fear, praise, right? We're judged a lot by how we receive praise, and some people don't receive it well. But I want to ask you, in your journey in martial arts, what have you like faced, and what have you felt like you've overcome? It's very philosophical.
I mean, I think that I've had certain demons that I've faced in martial arts, when I first came to boxing, I was actually severely depressed, and it was a way for me to get out of the house every day, where it's like I literally was like, I don't care about anything, but I can go to boxing today, and I can at least get out of, I can get out of bed and I can go to boxing because that makes me feel good. And so, so there was that kind of demon. And then with Muay Thai, someone like really, violated my trust. And I remember for me, it was coming back to, Muay Thai and really being able to say, that this was my sport, and that this person couldn't take that away from me, and I think for me, it's been a way of me reclaiming myself and reclaiming my space and my voice, the fact is that a lot of times I think one of my big fears is that, I don't deserve the things that I do, that I'm not as good enough, or I'm not this, that I'm, I work really hard, but I'm not that great. Or, I've always had that voice inside. And like, I remember anyone, because and I think that's the reason why it contributed to me being depressed, is because it can break you down. It can just dress you down, and it knows all your vulnerabilities, because, it's you saying, you're this, don't ever think you're, don't think you're anything better than you are. And I think for me, martial arts was a way of me reclaiming my space and my ability to take up space in the world, and my ability to hold myself up and say, no, I belong in this ring. No, this is my space. No, you will not infringe on me. And it's funny because when it's like, when I fight, it's definitely that I'm not going to give anything, because it's like, no, like you have stepped into my space. Like, this is my space. Like, you are not, you get out of my space. And that's really how I feel, because it tells me, look, I have a right to exist. I have a right to be who I am, And so for me, it's kind of a self-actualization of being like, this is who I am, and this is part of who I am, and this is okay for me to take up space and to be myself and to grow and blossom. So yeah.
Well, that's very telling, because the thing that Scott just said DJ did to himself, which is confronting his own voice, or confronting himself there. And I think that's just a common paradox, really, of being an artist. It's just a matter of taming your own personal demons or your own personal monsters and making it drive it to you. Because as harsh as your voice was, in essence, like, that is the very same thing that put you down is the same thing that brought you up almost to the same space. Because, we were talking about this also last week when we were talking to Morgan, how she talked herself, how she was a perfectionist, and how she really talked herself down. But you cannot deny that the pressure she put on herself was what led her to get her to her heights. I know Scott's also very hard on himself as well, and that's exactly. I mean, it's the same thing that keeps you down can take you up, but at the same point, like, the higher you go up, the higher those lows are. It's just a matter of, like, it's just who you are as a person. Like, from there, it's understanding that personal voice, that personal demon that you have.
Well, that inner voice that you just described it's so, like, cunning, because it's you. It's literally self-talk. Like, I've been active for some periods of time in the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. And my dad also has been sober for like 18 years. He's active in Alcoholics Anonymous. He's sponsored multiple people. And he had the same thing, anxiety, self-criticism. And I remember he told me he went to this speakers meeting where this guy was talking about all these struggles he had. And he was like, yeah, when I first got sober, I had these things that I called the talking heads. He said he'd be sleeping and he'd wake up and he'd just, like, start obsessing, and he'd just hear, "You're awake." And it was him talking to himself. They were waiting on him. He's like, they were just waiting on him to tell me I'm a piece of shit. Oh no, and he was like, yeah, I wake up in the morning and I do a body scan and I'd see a mole and I'd be like, it's cancer. Better not going to work today.
It's like, but that was just his immediate jump. It wasn't even that big of a jump.
It was just So I know George St. Pierre talked about this, just like the self-talk. And that is what can make us feel inferior. People can make us feel inferior. Society can make us feel inferior.
Just the world in general.
And I want to really speak this out there too, because there's still a lot of negative connotation about fighting. But there is not a thing yet that I have done that has helped me confront that. That has helped me just literally go, fuck you to that voice. And like, in the face of so much risk and uncertainty and danger, and just being like, I don't care. There would be these points I get to in camp where that voice would, like, I go home after training, maybe the session wasn't that good. I was exhausted, especially Saturdays, and I just sit there and someone would just start saying, dude, you're going to get knocked out. You're going to get knocked out in front of your family. And then I would just get, like, a week out, that would start happening, and I'd just be like, so what? I don't give a fuck. And to people who aren't locked into the sport like that and the art, they don't get that, because they run. They either work all the time and don't face it, or they drink, or they get all these material things and they don't confront that thing. Right?
They don't confront themselves.
And it's true.
That's the biggest thing.
I used to think it's in Morgan's podcast was called Me vs. Me, and I think that's
a very important thing.
We can't let that become cliche. We can't let it's you versus you. You can't let that become cliche, because it is true.
It is.
I think it's true in all of us, and I think that's the thing. And I feel the important thing, especially hearing like both your stories, is that as you grew stronger, not just in your physical, but I think the mental, and I think being able to understand, like, because I think that's essentially you're trying to achieve your true self, in terms of, like, you are more than just the thoughts in your head, and that you are more powerful than what you think you are. And I think it's going back to DJ, like his biggest thing was, like, he was going against himself, like, from that was blocked. But that's the thing. It seems funny to us because we see him and where he's at now. But but I think we're all at that same. It's like, I know we were laughing at, like, Tony Robbins, but he has, like, a quote about, the person's, like, greatest fear isn't that they're inadequate.
Robbins is kind of an asshole, but
but I feel like
that's true. Asshole's true.
But we can't. We can't look at, like, the person who said it, but, like, what does that mean? And I feel that's the thing. And you're talking about how a lot of people don't confront that, because I think that's one of the biggest things that a lot of people will tell themselves, is that it's easier to not fight, or it's easier to not fight. And by that, I mean to not fight the voice in your head,
Yeah.
to just accept it, like from there, because it's easier to think that you are not powerful, that you're not able to do it, because then in essence you never have to face that doubt, like from there, by just shutting down, by just giving in. From there,
or space.
Yes.
What Shatreen just talked about in terms of space is so that hit me viscerally. I just felt it. I was like, man, I got goosebumps. I was like, no, I know that, because for me, like I went to a really rough high school, getting bullied, getting jumped, like literally hanging out with my friends. Some of my dearest friends who taught me some of the most important life lessons grew up in really hard neighborhoods, were members of gangs, and I inherited all of their conflicts by just hanging out with them. And I wasn't a fighter, so I would get bullied, I would get jumped, I get beat up, and that traumatized me. You know what I mean? And I was like, dang, I don't have control over my body. I was like, people can just whoop my ass.
And that messed with you mentally for sure.
And it did. And then so I just started to, and thank God my grandfather got me into martial arts. And he was a Golden Gloves boxer, but he had the same issue. He was skinny. And they used to call him Squeaks. They used to be like Pip Squeak when he would box. And although he had these like iron hands and he would just drop people with body shots, you know how I said dig to the body? He said that. Dig to the body. He said that after my fight. He's like, Sky, get a headhunter. You gotta dig to the body. He said that to me after watching my first kickboxing. Dig to the body. I just did Vanderlei. But he had that same like feeling of insignificance and anxiety. And like, so for me, being in martial arts, and I hear like douchebags in the sport go, oh yeah, he got bullied, that's why he does it. I'm like, so what? That means that he's not gonna fuck around and let him really push him around anymore. You know?
No, but it's those things that it's those things that shape you. I think that you almost need to be in that state of not. It's almost in that state of want or that state of despair to want to get to somewhere better. Because you almost need to have that view of yourself destroyed, essentially, or at least it's true, because I think that's what I hear. When you're talking about that, just you being getting taken advantage of, or just from like bullies, and then that messes with you mentally. And I feel on the same token, you too, just like not necessarily, you might not necessarily have been bullied, but I feel just your shyness led you to not really want to. And go out, or to put yourself out there. And I think maybe in essence, like you're kind of just bullying yourself. You're just not allowing yourself to let others see that. I feel everyone. I think it's a common thread amongst people, especially who are fighters or who are good martial artists, is that they're trying to. Their true opponent is themselves, is because they're trying to contain themselves. Like, from there, I think that's what I hear when you guys talk about your voice like talking you down, or that inner voice. It's because you are more powerful than you think. I feel the same way. I feel that's how I got into like martial arts, because I started to see it's like I'm starting to understand why I didn't fit in around other people. It's because other people don't think like me, and then it's just true. Because like when I was a kid, you look through that perspective, go like, I think everyone else must think like me, or like think in a similar sense, and then you go like, no. A lot of people they just think trash, really. or coming from me, and like in my background, I came from real. No, it's true. I came from an immigrant household. Like both my parents were immigrated from the Philippines. Like they met in the Philippines, came here, had me. So I'm first generation American, and it's just like such a culture difference. I feel from there, and I've just felt isolated, really. And it's a weird kind of isolation, because I had grown up in the Philippines like when I was like young, so like I came here like around elementary school, like near the tail end of that, and I feel I didn't quite know where I belong, like from there. And in that sense, it just gets a kid to think, just as a young kid, I just always felt like I didn't belong anywhere, and I felt like there was just no one that could relate to me. And I feel like it's a common children's dilemma or common teen dilemma of like trying to find your place. But I feel like for me, like what I wanted to find was it was just, I feel like I really had a sense of just essentially like weakness, or like not being strong enough. That's what I really wanted to do. And I feel and it's like wanting to be vulnerable. Or I guess not wanting to be vulnerable. I just felt vulnerable, and then I didn't want to accept it to myself, so I wanted like to hide that like, through other things. And I feel that looking back now, that the vulnerability is what led to the true strength. Because like having to admit that you are vulnerable like leads you to opening yourself up to that failure is what leads you to that true strength, which is funny because when I was a kid, I thought of the complete opposite of that. I'm like, oh, people, because I saw people, that are strong, or that person was have it made.
They're like invincible.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's no way, if I were to see one of my favorite fighters, when I was a kid was Mike Tyson, and I saw oh man, that guy just must feel like I don't know, like a demigod, a god on earth. Like he must have no reservations or no thoughts. And it's funny because later in life I just heard he was the most he was just talking about himself. It's he's just talking about before how he was just so scared.
He wanted to leave.
He wanted to run out of the stadium or the arena. He was just so anxious, and it just shows that everyone that feels that way. But that's the thing. Sometimes the people with the most powerful negative voice they have the most. They have to be the most positive to counteract that. And I think that's just true. That's just why, when I hear your words, it's I understand because I was in that place.
Mm-hmm.
I was in that low place. I was in that place where I felt like I couldn't do anything. Mm-hmm. But in essence, I find I find comfort not just in the fact that other people know the struggle, but they know the struggle the way as I did, and that they overcame that from that. And I think that's what's important. Mm-hmm. Places like this, or talking to people like this, allowing yourself to be vulnerable, because I feel that's really that's not what gets emphasized. It's it is that asshole mentality that people who always say something the loudest people are the ones who are going to get it. But in essence, it's a lot of people, the common person in life, they really look at it and they don't know where they are. But the truth is a lot of people are really just unsure, and it's not bad to not sure where you are. From there. Yeah. So well, that was a long tangent, but back on to
it was perfect. Because it's
really.
Yeah. Guys like Tyson, that mentality. It was always said, I think, by a lot of boxing historians and commentators. They would always say that and I don't know how much I agree with this, but it's interesting kind of thought experiment. If Tyson had Ali's mind, how unstoppable would he have been? And it's.
I know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that's true. I don't agree with that.
No, me neither. Because
that's his vehicle. Tyson was who he is because of what he was.
Exactly. And Tyson was constantly until he was I'm just a monster. And I think he knew that for a while, but he was constantly proving himself wrong.
Yeah.
Which is why his post-fight speeches are just so crazy. He's no Alexander. I'm Alexander.
but that was when he went crazy, Tyson.
My defense is impregnable, just ferocious, and when he was hard, praise be to Allah. You're just what is that? I don't even look. People look. Oh, it's crazy, but what has that guy been through?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He's been through a lot, and then you hear his life story, how living on the street, having a drug addict mother, not being sure, having to rob people just to get.
He's from Brownsville.
Yeah. It's just just the most uncertain of circumstances from there. But see that's the kind of that's the kind of people at a loss that end up having to build themselves up.
Yeah.
Too, and I think that's how people with grit get made, from there, and and that's how you can tell. And that's how you can tell, when I saw you fight, that's a person who's been through something as well. We've been through, we've all been through stuff, but it's how people react to that from there. Because sometimes, it's easier to give in, it's easier to not. It's easier to just lay down and accept it from there. And I feel that's really a lot of what it's just that expression. I feel truly that's what it is. It's that's why it's the art in martial art. But a lot of people just lose the way to express themselves, and I feel especially as they get older, because we're quote unquote adults, but how many adults really express themselves, especially as they get older,
and that is. And I don't know, our society, there's what is even happening here is very unique, right? There's a lot of consciousness raising that is going on in all sorts of different circles in our society. But we live in this, now more than ever, we're questioning the whole go to college, get a degree, 9 to 5, grind, save. You can go on vacation, raise your kids, do this. Don't think about
because because it doesn't. You can go to college and you don't. That's not guaranteed.
And you're not guaranteed to get a job.
You're not guaranteed you're gonna have a house and you're gonna have this. It's
Yeah.
You know, like you're
Yeah.
not
Right.
guaranteed this perfect life if you do what you're supposed to do.
Exactly. It's
right?
that
But
set lifestyle.
Yeah.
You know, from
In
there.
most things, right? Even noble professions, like
medicine.
medicine, like law, have become completely capitalistic.
Yeah.
Have been for a while, or
Yeah.
corporate.
Yeah.
So even when I entered into my field, I was like, I look at things as an avenue to express, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, that doesn't matter here.
Yeah.
Like all that creative energy and potential I have, I feel like it's just on reserve, or it's just I'm not getting that.
It's not being utilized.
It's not being utilized, right?
Yeah.
And there's so many places in our society where that is the case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why, you know,
I feel that's more often the case than not.
well, because the millennials
Yeah.
are like, our generation is like, what the fuck? I have to sit. Morgan talked about it. She's
Yeah.
like, I see people at my job. She works for an architect
Yeah,
firm.
an architectural
And then
firm.
they just, she's like, I see people who
They've just been
sit
there for
there
like 20 years. Yeah.
and they're doing work and they're doing diligent work, but it's just like soul crushing work. You
Yeah.
know, I see it with attorneys too. I'm just like, no wonder addiction rates are so high
Yeah.
for attorneys, because it's just like there's only so much you can do, right?
Yeah.
It's a soul crushing reality. It's like you said, but that's why they get, you know, people look for outs or look for escapes. Like I think really in essence, like that's what drugs are. You
No, I know, but our
it's-
society doesn't go, and school doesn't go, hey, you're going to go out into the work world. You're going to go out into the workforce. Remember, continue to cultivate yourself.
Mm.
Paint, read, discuss, have this, and stay away from the distractions of like, before I came here, I was just on my phone. I'm sick. So I was on my computer, on my phone, on my computer reading, and I'm just like, this fucking sucks.
Yeah.
You know? But that's a reflection of the professional life too.
Yeah.
You have to get shit done. You have to get tasks done. You have to stay on top of it. There's people that need you in fields like ours. But at the same time, it's just like, it's not even necessary. It's not a unifying force, I would say. It's just another job to be done. It's another task to be checked off.
Yeah.
And, I think things like martial arts or painting or discussions like this, like it just renews our spirit. Right?
Yeah.
And
It does.
and then when you go out into that world and you're more humane.
Yeah.
Versus what a lot of people do is like Wally, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've seen like
Yeah, just
yeah,
drinking the big.
and Wally's trying to come around like.
But yeah, I want to talk about that stuff because I feel like that's the easier way out. I feel that's the thing. I feel it's easier to not express yourself because I feel the people that it's like the nail that sticks out that's what's going to get hammered on.
Yeah, it's also very vulnerable.
Always.
Like just like the reason why I was like, I don't know if I really want to fight in front of people because it's it's
you're
putting yourself out there, right? Because
you
know, look how many people will critique, all these different fighters, and tear them apart. Like it's so easy, like in academia. Like I feel like the average hour is just like full of people are like, well, that sucks and just like tearing everything apart.
It's easy just to consume. It's easy to point and contradict. And
it's
criticize.
So easy to to tear something apart rather than. And so I think when you, and especially when you have that critical inner voice, you are already criticizing yourself, so you're kind of like, oh gosh, other people are going to say this about me, So I think it's a vulnerability to express yourself in that way and to be, to do something that's outside the norm of like
uncomfortable.
Yeah, exactly. Like you're not doing what everyone else is doing. It's like you're going to the gym, you're training. Like why are you doing martial arts? Why are you doing this? Like really, like why don't you do something else? Like it's. And I think I think that people outside of the sport, outside of training, I don't think they quite understand just the personal transformation.
Yeah. Well, they don't quite grasp like what it means to you. I think that's the biggest thing. It's a matter of perspective.
Yeah.
Because especially how they perceive the biggest thing. Like from them, but at the same token, there's a lot of things I don't understand. But like one thing I always try to check myself is try to see how other people think, because I feel that that's a very important thing. Like, how do other people see me? Because it's the same token, I tend to try and see things how other people see, or how I tend to see my own view as how other people view. But that's not the case. Like I figured out
you adjust yourself by the others' gaze.
By the others' gaze. But I was like, no, other people are gonna think it's like in essence, like me understanding that people think differently made me like just even stronger in like thinking my own, like thinking, just being able to think for myself.
Yeah, because at a certain point, they're always going to think.
Exactly.
They're always going to
think
voices, there's
like
always going to be, like you can't please everyone or have, like you just can't.
And it doesn't matter.
Yeah, and at a certain point, it's like, why should I be stretching myself and trying to please other people when this is my experience?
That's your voice. Yeah.
Well, that comes from like not being taught how to utilize your own thoughtfulness.
Yeah.
Because when Pocholo just said something like, I thought different.
Yeah.
And I feel like you were shy because you were very thoughtful.
Yeah.
And probably very sensitive.
Yeah.
Because you're thinking differently than the people around
and I
you.
was perceived as more oversensitive. It was funny because my family would definitely think I was being oversensitive because I would also pick up on certain things, that or things would bother me that other people would just brush off, and I think it's interesting because I think a lot of fighters are actually quite sensitive.
A lot of fighters are quite sensitive, and that's why when you talk about that, I know exactly.
It's like they're very thoughtful, but I think it's like that dichotomy of the thoughtfulness, the sensitivity, and then like the kind of very aggressive, like the perception of martial arts, right?
It is that straight dichotomy because almost the more capacity you have to be thoughtful, you almost have to take that away to be in terms of aggressive because you understand the kind of damage you're doing.
And in most especially in this super advanced industrial society we live in, we're not really awarded for that type of sensitivity in terms of business success.
What does that mean for work?
What does that mean for work?
What does that mean for work?
It's a meritocracy.
Yeah. That's like
it's like don't be emotional. Don't be. And it's like I can't stand this because it's like, no, literally how we view brain, how the brain shapes, it's like emotion is cognition. It doesn't come from anywhere but the brain. And sometimes what it does, it does when you look at things like a doctor or formulate a diagnosis or a treatment plan or look at a case and then analyze what the fuck is a jury going to think. Right? It's crazy because these cases too, just a segue, it's like a lot of these jurors make decisions based on emotion. And you can manipulate that and be a fucking devil's advocate for sure. And that's true. All those attorney jokes are really attorneys in hell. But what I mean is I never learned in any school, or there were some great teachers along the way, but how do I utilize empathy to impact my surroundings and myself? How do I have empathy for my goddamn self too? Never really.
You were never given the tools to really handle yourself or to cope with yourself. In essence, you have to figure that out on your own. And I think everyone really has to figure that out on their own because it was never taught, and that's always been when I think about men, that's messed up because you have to deal with yourself every day. And the thing is, some people cannot deal with themselves, which is what leads to poor mental health or addiction or to drug. I mean,
kind of turning that inwards, right? That kind of it's
because
really,
people look for other ways.
And it just can be so corrosive just not to accept those emotions and really cultivate that sense of empathy too for others and for yourself. But
I think I said this on another podcast, but it's fascinating me because Stephen Hawking just passed away. And there's all sorts of quantum mechanics and advanced theories that he's put out there that I have no fucking idea. I just wouldn't be able to understand it. But he said something about our survival as a species, and he said that empathy would be the guiding force that would save us, right? Because if we had empathy for all living organisms, we had empathy for each other, we would just take certain decisions more seriously. We'd hold power more accountable, and that could really shift our interpersonal dynamics too. And it's out of all the things this guy's written about, all the things he's commented on, the vast amount of knowledge he has in that brain of his, he's this is the most important thing. Now I must go.
But it's almost that thing of simplicity, how sometimes the most complicated solution or the most complicated problem really has a simple solution from there, but that simple solution, quote unquote, is almost the hardest thing to ever deal with, because it's saying that the way to to a happy or fulfilled life is to be able to to find yourself. But in essence, how many people are really finding themselves, or how many people are put in the capacity to find themselves from there? Because I felt in this on this pathway I was never quite really led. It was just some way that you end up finding your own contention or your own way to figure out what works for you. It's I easily could have gone a different route from there, or just through circumstances of not being able to figure out what works in terms of expressing me or being me or finding my voice from there, because just all too often it just gets shut down from there.
Or just feeling I don't know about you guys, but I know when I was really young I did feel different in terms of because I had some academic struggles very early on. And it wasn't because of that I couldn't understand. I just was interested in other stuff, not what they were teaching me. I was interested in the civil rights movement, like 4th and 5th grade. Like I'm reading books about that and trying to understand that. And like there's never really a point in time where my teacher was like, Scott has great initiative. It's like, oh, Scott's just disruptive. Well, you know why I was disruptive? Because I was like, this is fucking stupid.
I think that's the thing, because you do have great initiative towards things that you want.
Yeah.
And like anyone, I think, because the same problems that I think that were troubling you when you were younger, is just not even a problem. It's just who you are as a person.
Yeah,
That's the same, because that's the same, psycho like thing is that driving that passion towards things that you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
From there, you just had a lot of that. Whereas a lot of kids are like, well, I don't quite know what I want to do. I guess I'll just do what everyone else is doing.
Yeah.
No, because that's the common thing.
Yeah, it's like a lot of people are like, yeah, you just go to college because everyone else goes to college, and that's what you're supposed to do. And it's not like, is that what you want to do? Is that, like...
That's never gets asked.
Yeah, it's like, no, that's what you're supposed to do, and you're supposed to do this. And it's like, I definitely know a lot of people who just...
here's this rifle and here's this helmet.
But it's really like...
I guess I'm about to go to war.
Hey, you see that group of people over there? They look funny. Fucking hate.
Yeah. They're different. I hate them because they're different.
You see the words this guy's using? He's going to bring jobs back to America. He's going to make it great again. Vote for him. Guess that's what I'll do. Herd mentality. And it's not to be like...
Yeah, it's that group thing, but it's easy to follow that flow.
Yeah.
Because like you said, if you stick out, you're gonna get rained down upon, you're gonna get hammered. It's just it's hard to stick out.
Yeah.
Or it's just harder to not fit in.
Yeah.
From there. But it's almost like, on that same token, once you get used to like not fitting in, it doesn't become as being a social pariah is not bad.
Yeah.
From that, I think if anything, that's when I got the most content. Like, oh, I wonder I can't get along with a lot of people. It's not that it's something wrong with me. It's just that's just who I am.
Have you guys ever just had small talk with somebody?
Small talk is exhausting.
I know it is.
I want to slap.
But have you ever had small talk and in the middle of the small talk you're like, I don't give a fuck about what you're talking, or that's really
Scott,
that's what you're thinking about?
Yeah, Scott, I just walk away. Like, no, that's the thing.
Seriously, Pat and I we have to go to a mingling thing for medical school on Tuesday, and I'm really excited about going to medical school. I just don't like mingling because it's that small talk. It's this, and I remember I literally just picked out the 3 people I wanted to talk to, said hi, and then was like, Pat, we gotta leave because it was just it was like an hour and a half long reception. I left after 10 minutes because I get really exhausted with just the inane So where do you live or this?
How about that weather?
It's like oh well the weather outside and it's like
the weather outside.
You know what always gets me as a man? It's like sports news.
Yeah.
That fucks me every time. Because I'm around a lot of people in the legal profession, a lot of guys. And we're talking about trades, and I'm
how about your manners?
And I'm like, I don't give a fuck about who or who's doing what. I just don't care,
No, but you know why? Because that's the exact male small talk.
No, it is.
That's exactly
it's
like
not
the
really
song.
An engagement. It's
not engagement, but it's like oh crap, I got till the time.
But you also want to be conscientious. You want to go, hey man, how are you feeling today? With dudes, some guys you just can't do that.
Well, because you ask them that and they don't know. They don't know what to tell you.
No, it's weird too. When you try to ask a serious question and you get sarcasm, you get deflection.
Yeah.
And the deflection is so interesting to watch because it's like, damn, it's kind of like you just said, fuck you, don't talk to me. You didn't say that. You did this whole act. Right? Yeah, it's hard moving in the world with a thought process like that.
Yeah.
When you're looking for depth.
Yeah.
You're looking for connection.
Yeah.
You don't like the way things are situated.
Yeah.
It's hard to be I think earnest. I think sometimes when you're sensitive, you almost have to sometimes cultivate more of a sarcasm. Just to kind of
how did that happen?
Yeah. but also to keep a little distance, right? Because when you're too earnest, people are like, "Oh, look at you, you're so gullible." And look,
I can take advantage of you.
But when you want to engage with people, to a certain extent, it's it's unfortunately you have to be somewhat sophisticated, understand
how did you learn that? That was deep. I don't want to skip over. You said you're earnest, and then all of a sudden someone's taking advantage.
Was it college?
Honestly, it was college, and also, it was like I said, someone had violated me, and it was really this. I swear, it was this curtain had been pulled where it was like, no, people don't have to. If someone's alone with you, they don't have to behave by these good standards. Where I really believed before, people, and I've been in Eastern Congo, and I've been like in all these places, but I really thought like if someone knows you and is close to you, they're not going to hurt you. And then for me, it was like, no, like if someone, like you really don't know how someone will act until they're alone, and they don't. They will be.
Morgan said this.
Yeah. I mean, it's really frightening because it's just like there's this mask peeled off, and it's suddenly like I really like at that moment I remember feeling like, God, if I had been a child my whole life, like it just like running around completely naive, because then it suddenly was like, oh, like I have been totally operating at this kind of level where
it's like there you are, you piece of shit.
You've been a piece of shit the whole time.
I only ask because like that, I'm continually in a certain sphere of my life having that realization where I'm just like, this is fucked up.
Yeah.
This is bullshit.
Yeah.
And I tell everyone around me it's bullshit. But then I'm just like, that ass man, I'm gonna give you that asshole book because it talks about this. It's like when you're confronted with a difficult personality or someone who's gonna exploit you or take advantage of you, you can either just kind of like it's where you're like, oh, or acceptance. This is the way they are. I'm gonna be stoic about it.
Yeah.
Kind of like Pocholo does that. Pocholo gets real stoic sometimes. And just deflect. And I'm just gonna go about my day. Or you can pick your battles and when you can confront them. Yeah. But that's the premise. But the conclusion. People or takes advantage of people or dominates people, they're just not gonna fucking change.
No.
Yeah. And so you sit there
patterns.
And I'm like, damn, I feel like all my homegirls have been in shit. Some of my homegirls have been in shitty relationships and they've just tried to describe this to me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I just don't know what that's like. Now I know what that shit's like because you're like, damn, what has this person been through? Why do they do this? Why do they act like this?
Yeah.
But you're looking for that, and you're like,
even if I did find it,
it
doesn't justify the behavior.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, and that's real deep. No, that's true. That is exactly the same thing.
And you just had a moment of shock where you're like, because in every single relationship between people, there's like this. Either there's an implied, it's either explicit trust, like fucking marriage, like in our construct. This is da. Divorce rates are high as fuck, so it's bullshit. But like, it's explicit or it's just implicit. It's like with like.
Coming up next, Scott's podcast on love. Stay tuned.
Yeah, I know.
We're here with Hard Talk with Scott.
But you see what I'm saying is I'm trying to go back and say there's for each other, don't violate.
Yeah.
And then when that happens, whether that's verbal or physical, you're just like, what the.
It's a very jarring thing.
It is.
Because you're like, whoa, what happened? I thought we were.
Yeah, like you were kind of like, wait, where did that come from? And what my reaction has been in the past was that I don't know if it's a lot of, I've heard a lot of women say this, but they'll doubt their reactions. They're like, wait, did I see that right? Did that actually happen? Did I, because it's really.
I think it's almost like that. It's almost like a notion that like, oh, you don't speak up, from there. It's like, just
it'd be like there's like a fucking kid right here, and the person's like, yeah, it's really good talking. And then they go, yeah, but no, totally. You're just like, wait a minute. You're like, wait a minute.
Am I supposed to just ignore what just happened right
now?
Like,
oh, I guess that you do that.
I mean, I'm totally gonna give you that raise, bro.
Yeah.
You're gonna go places.
Yeah.
You're like. What the fuck?
Are we just gonna ignore what just happened right there? The kid is all like,
and not to get super deep, but we're just talking about trust and philosophy. It's like Jean-Paul Sartre wrote about the Paris occupation by Nazi Germany, and how there was the invasion, and then there was this apprehension to the Nazi presence.
Yeah.
But then he noted in this small book, it's only like 20 pages, how normative their presence had become.
It's like that Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah, so
you're normalizing it.
So you're sitting there and you're like, okay, the Parisians are like, oh, the Nazis are here. Then raids happen that night. People are getting taken away, mainly Jewish people, and then shipped out. But then you're just like, oh, get up.
Happens again.
People going to the, it was like this twilight. So that's the other thing about being kind of a nonconformist is you're just like, is it normal for me to accept this behavior or accept this where I am in my life or what is going towards me? And then you have a voice that's critical inside you that just tells you, well, like, no, you deserve this. Maybe you are a piece of shit, or maybe you should be conquered, or maybe you should be. It's just a feeling of powerlessness, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's for all three of us. What we have in common is like we knew early that I'm glad and thankful that all three of us didn't settle into that.
Yeah.
Well, I think if we did, we wouldn't be here.
No, I don't.
No, it's true. Like I feel But
well, that's just the way it goes.
no, that's the thing because I always talked about towards I think that normalization is a very big one. But I think one thing I always thought is like if Godzilla were to destroy a city, oh man, that's gonna be if like a huge green monster came in just destroyed Seattle.
Yeah, but Godzilla
like,
doesn't destroy cities. Mothra does.
Mothra, anyway, Scott, whatever. So, but if that happened like every Tuesday at 5 p.m., we'd be like, oh well.
Yeah,
here we go.
Exactly.
Guess our city's getting destroyed.
Is that Dave Chappelle?
Yeah.
Is that Dave Chappelle having sex with Mount Rainier?
Yeah.
Oh,
fuck. Yeah, I mean, that's shocking day one.
Yeah.
If it happens, happens every other Sunday, you're like, well, there's Dave Chappelle having sex with.
Yeah, it's like becomes really routine where you're just like, oh, well, that's just how it is.
That's just how it is.
And I think it's just, it's like human adaptive mechanism, where it's like, that's what's so great about, being human is that you can adapt.
It's almost like the greatest thing, but in like this sense, it's like, wait a minute, why are we adapting?
Yeah, it's like, wait, why are we normalizing this? Because, it's like, normalizing, really troubling behavior, in this country, where it's like, oh, well, this isn't that bad, like, it's really, and it's sad that, that
they have to rationalize it like that.
Yeah, you have to rationalize it. And I think
but in essence, like, why are you saying that?
Yeah, but I think it's also a form of survival, right?
Yeah,
to be like, because otherwise, if you're just constantly under stress and you're like, this is horrible, this is fucked up, what is going on?
That's
like,
true.
how would you, right? You're just under this state of stress and you're powerless, but it's like, you have to be like, well, okay, I can adjust to this. I can live, right? I can do my life. I can go to the grocery store and do this. Like, you have to pick out the things where it's like, I'm surviving, I'm fine, calm down.
You must have to like put that white noise.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially when people, like what you just said is like someone just says something fucked up or they're like doing something fucked up, like all of Trump's shit.
Yeah.
The thing that's really deplorable about Trump is that, and it's interesting, he operates from a gray area of like verbal attack. So he'll say something and like, some shit's like, that's just fucking racist. Yeah. But then you hear, you're like, that's just something a dickhead would say.
Yeah.
And actually, this is what this motherfucker's been saying in boardrooms.
Yeah.
For how long? So it's this gray area where it's like, we can't exactly pin him on it, but we know it's wrong. And that's kind of the worst type of thing. Is, like the situation you found yourself in, it was probably more than just gray area. It was probably just wrong, but you're just like, well, fuck, this is who this person is. They're in this position of power. What do I do? And then you had a choice where you could have let that be your gauge for
or it could have been like, oh, like this is just how martial arts is, like this is what what it is like, to have this exploitation. And when I realized, but at the same time, it's like, luckily I I had external supports. Like, I think if I had been like, say, like Mike Tyson's situation where he's like, this kid who has a drug addict mother, has no other social supports.
And you have fucking Don King coming in.
Yeah, like, but like someone like that, it's so easy to exploit them. And there's so much exploitation. Yeah, right.
Because they're so vulnerable and they have no other way to
turn to. Right. But when you have like, oh, you have your brother, you have your family, you have these external people who, for better or worse, will kind of remind you, well, this isn't okay. And that was, for me, was my external supports, was like, this isn't, like, what's happening is not okay. What happened is not okay. And that, because otherwise, if you're just by yourself and you're so vulnerable, you'll normalize it. You'll think, this is just how it is. Yeah. This is, I don't like this, but I guess this is what this is like, so.
That's so crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy. But it's crazy, but it's eye-opening because I feel like that is, it's just
everywhere.
It's everywhere. Yeah. It's everywhere, and it's where you least expect it, and it happens to more people than you think.
Yeah, and like Morgan was mentioning the Me Too movement, and and in fighting, I was like, okay, But I remember even like at work, like there was like I just had like a run-in with a doctor where it was just. Like it was just kind of weird, but it was just, but it was just kind of, it wasn't anything that was so egregious that you go to HR, but it was something where it's like,
hey, that's not right.
Yeah, like where you're like, this isn't okay, like you should know better than to do this, but it's, it's kind of that thing where you almost have to gauge like, is this, like how bad is this? It's kind of like the thing with assholes where it's like, well, how do I engage with this? Do I like keep engaging with them? Do I, like, it's really... like it's so pervasive, unfortunately. And I mean, the good thing is that it's getting called out more and, with more visibility, hopefully it won't happen as much, but, it's still to a certain extent it operates, but it's just, maybe 30 years ago, like it was the Mad Men type of thing where like, men could like give you a healthy slap on the bottom,
I see that shit. I'm like, what the fuck?
But like, but
guys watch the good old days. Smoking cigarettes.
But it's like, even for me, it's seeing, and I mean, I'm almost, and oddly, I'm almost grateful for my experience, coach in martial arts, and then realizing like, look, even people in power, it can be a doctor, it can be a martial arts coach, it can be anyone.
It can be
Bill Cosby. You look at all these like big,
Yeah.
like Harvey Weinstein. Like you look at all these people in power, and it's like, they can exploit.
Anyone's at risk to do it.
Yeah.
I feel, and I think that's one thing that really helped me in seeing that. Or I guess just being naturally suspicious of things like from there. But I feel like it's. Yeah. No,
but it's good because I think that being naturally suspicious and also willing to listen to that, because I think a lot of times like I would notice things, but I would kind of tamp it down, or I'd say, because I've been told I was sensitive, right? All through my life.
Like, oh, maybe
maybe it's me being sensitive, right?
He salted that fucking cat. You know what, Shatreen? You're just being really sensitive.
Yeah, Shatreen being oversensitive.
If you want to move it, there's things you just have to accept. Business.
Yeah,
and that's one of them.
Yeah, you just gotta go in and beat the shit out of cats.
That's how I feel. That's how I do feel pain.
But that's true.
Yeah.
But I think I want to go back to what Scott was saying on how, and also what you're saying about rationalizing. Sometimes so you can rationalize where a person's coming from, but still like an evil deed or a deed of like where you're mistreating somebody is still mistreatment.
Yeah.
You can look over it, but that's set in stone. Like your actions are what they are. You in turn might not be a bad person, but what you just did was mistreatment. I think like looking at it that way is very important. But then if it becomes like repetitive for a person, that's kind of like what I was saying earlier, which is like they're not going to change. It's ingrained in them. Yeah, and it's like you're going to talk to somebody in a position of power and go, "Hey, man," or lady or whoever, because it comes both ways.
Yeah.
Maybe you should get into some counseling, or that's just not going to fucking happen.
Yeah,
someone who's just used to getting away with just asserting themselves, being disrespectful, being manipulative, like
it's like if they've been doing that for 20 years, it's like,
well, when are they going to change now? Because of one person bringing up their voice.
Yeah, it's like they've been getting away with it for years, and it's like especially
secretary.
And it's shit like that makes me more like lean towards like anarchist theory. Or I'm like hierarchy on some level. I know there's always going to be like differences in ability and things like that, but if it's given institutionally, like we've seen what that does. It's just so corrosive, right? When it's just like now, because if someone knows they're over you, and then they all have that sinister consciousness where it's like I can just fuck with this person nonstop.
I mean, I think power disinhibits. Power just reveals. Like that's the thing that's interesting about power is that once someone has power, it really, and when they feel like they don't have to suffer the consequences, it does
shows
reveal.
A true character.
It's a lot. I mean, just like fighting, you put someone in the ring, it reveals like power. Also, it reveals the character, like how they treat the people under them,
or when they're with no one else. Like,
exactly.
It just shows like, what will someone actually do.
Yeah.
But I think it's a very that's a very good note because it just shows also everyone's like typically acting underneath a mask.
Hendo knocked out Hector Lombard.
Oh, Hector Lombard,
right, with that elbow. I don't know what fight I was at.
Yeah.
I think it was one of James's fights at and Matt came in, he's on his cell phone, he's like, Hector Lombard got knocked out. He's like, I'm so happy. Yeah. I was like, why, man? He's like, because he's horrible to his sparring partners. He injures all of
really?
It can be Hector would just injure all of his partners.
Hector.
So when he got hit with that elbow, it's kind of like, well, you've been a bully for too long. You've learned your position of ability and skill over someone, and here you go. Now it's time for you to deal with it. Right?
The comeuppance from that.
Yeah.
Well, it's just like I hope. Same thing I gotta say with Conor. Like I know he will not be prosecuted.
Conor McGregor.
He won't. But it's like you just hope that there's some severe penalties for acting like that, because that's just like that was total. Just like I'm here. I'm McGregor. Fuck your bus. Fuck your fights. Fuck everything. I'm above the law.
It's like I'm above all of you. It's just such an ego-driven thing to be like, I am, like, who the hell are you to take this away from me? Do you know who I am? I will, like, it's just,
that makes me cringe because I've heard people say that, like, at Bose, like, I've heard customers say,
who are you to tell me?
Do you know who I am? Yeah. No, motherfucker, and I'm not giving you a headset. No, I don't know who you are.
Fuck your headset.
Do you know who I am? I'm the the one.
Yeah.
I control that.
You don't know me.
I am the master of the exchange program, and you will stand beneath me. Like, you know, like
Scott, that would be the best getting fired from both.
just standing on the fucking.
I am King Kong of the
Hey, Kong, hey, Kong, oh me.
Yeah.
And Alonzo from Training Day is a
Alonzo from
Training Day.
perfect example.
Yeah.
But
Fuck all that. My life is like Training Day right now.
Yeah.
I would
My life-
say that. That's what I'll say. We'll leave it at that. I've not been forced to smoke weed yet.
Oh, you like to get wet?
Anyway, so Shatreen, what are you gonna say?
I mean, I think that it's like power just. I think that what we're seeing, you know, like that was interesting. The thing about like Hector Lombard being knocked out, Matt being like finally, because because when you physically, when you're able to overpower others, or socially, or professionally, it's like it does say something about you. It's like like DJ or Matt for like all their ability. Like I've never gotten injured with them, like sparring with them.
Yeah.
Like I've never, like I've always felt comfortable. I've always I've never, like they've always pushed me. But it's never been to a point where they're bullying me or they're making a point or they're saying, and they could do that, right? That's the thing, is they have the capacity, but they choose not to. And so in that way, that also reveals their character, right? So that's the thing, is that, power, whether it's, Conor McGregor having all this fame and notoriety, or, DJ having this ability, it reveals, your character.
It reveals who they are. Well, okay, so speaking on that, so now that you've done a lot of martial arts and fighting. So, what do you think has been the biggest then to how you see yourself, like as a person?
In terms of how, martial arts.
Yeah, in terms of how how you're experiencing martial arts, how that changed. You said how when you were younger you were like shy and not really want to put yourself out there, and not that that necessarily has changed, but how has that been? I guess altered since you've opened yourself up to more uncomfortable things.
Yeah, I think martial. It's interesting because I feel like martial arts and actually kind of my academic or track toward medicine actually really. I feel like they actually intertwine a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, because I feel like martial arts has just kind of revealed certain aspects of my character. Like I've always enjoyed learning, and I think I pursued things like martial arts or medicine where, it's a constant learning process, where you're never going to know everything, you're never it's like martial arts, you're never going to know everything. Medicine, you're never going to be the doctor who knows everything. It's just,
you're not going to be doctor.
Doctor. What's your doctorate know and all this?
But I think it helped me to recognize, how I develop as what kind of person I am. Like, really, I feel like martial arts actually helped me study for the MCAT, for the medical college admissions test, because I realized that
was similar to your pursuit of
academics.
Where
I realized that the way that I learned martial arts was I go to the gym, every day. I do this. I try all these different things. I really have to try things myself. I can't just watch it and think about it. You
learned how you learn. And you took that.
Yeah, and that really taught me how I learn and how I.
It revealed you.
Yeah, it allowed me to understand just the type of person I am, and I actually did talk about Muay Thai and fighting in my medical school essay. It was one of, I talked about just how much it had shaped me and how much, fighting and just martial arts is such a transformative process. And it's similar to medical school where you go through this process and you come out a doctor and it changes you. And just like martial arts, it reveals you. And I think for me, a way of me becoming more aware of who I am and embracing of who I am, where I know that I'm the type of person where I need to, constantly be learning something and engaging in something. Like, I can't. And
that's how best you operate.
Yeah, and and I realized that, I couldn't just, I'm not the type of person where, I would just work a job and then come home and space out in front of TV or watch the Kardashians or I realized.
What's wrong with the Kardashians?
I mean, nothing.
That's probably my favorite show.
But I realized that, I needed more.
Like
and,
that was the kind of stimuli
Yeah.
that you would.
Yeah,
That was
like-
the kind of environment you best
yeah.
transpire in. Okay.
And I think that martial arts for me allowed me to embrace that and understand that and not see that as, different or, like, oh, like it doesn't conform
it's
to.
not separate. That was just
Yeah.
how you saw yourself. Or
Yeah.
anyway, that was a vehicle where you saw, oh hey, this is
Yeah.
where I'm strong.
And a sense of
And
self-acceptance, honestly. I think
Yeah.
martial arts has helped because, it's like, I remember one time, I think it was you, saying like, you can learn things from DJ, you can learn things from Matt, but you're not going to fight exactly like DJ. You're not going to fight exactly like Matt. You're going to fight like Shatreen. And I think that for me was important to be like, yeah, I'm going to fight like me. And it's a sense of self-acceptance as well of the way that I fight and the way that I learn and grow. It was, I think for me, that was the most illuminating part was accepting myself.
Yeah.
So.
It's because it has to be genuine.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing, because I think one of the biggest things that people will not respect is someone who's ingenuine.
Yeah.
It just shows. It's like a fakeness. It
Yeah.
just like shows on the surface. That's
Yeah.
why I always think about, I remember when John Jones was first coming in and he was
Yeah.
just trying to play like a good person, like, oh, follow God, and like everyone goes like, I don't know.
I know.
There was like a big backlash or
Yeah.
from like, well, I'm not sure if he's really who he says he is. And then
fucking wasn't.
exactly all
Yeah.
those troubles came to the surface,
Yeah.
and then you're like, oh, John Jones in reality is an asshole.
Yeah.
And that's like, and
It's like, no, that's you, and he's probably not going to change.
yeah,
It's
exactly.
not going to change, and that's. I like how you really used your journey in martial arts to like how, and then you said this is martial arts helped me prepare for the MCATs. It's like I just took the LSAT and I looked at it the same way.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, it's the same way you approach it.
yeah, I look at
Yeah.
it as like, okay, if I put this much time in, if I know I learned differently, and that I'm gonna have to approach this information different than even my competitors who are taking it, then I'll do good. But also just knowing that my weaknesses will come out too, because like I overtrained. I feel like I overstudied. I didn't take a break, and so
those things carry over. Where it's like if you,
it's because it's who you are.
it's like if you procrastinate when you're fighting, right? If you're the type of person who like, you start really caring late into your fight camp about like the really training or pushing yourself or eating right, like that kind of carries over into how, you study or how you approach other things. Like I feel like martial arts does reveal your personality and your character. And I think that it's a sense of self-acceptance and just self-understanding as well.
Yeah, understanding who you are.
Yeah.
Because I remember I talked to you about that, and also talk to you too, like about your studying, you understanding yourself, and I feel that's a very big thing, because it's just like I remember we were talking to Morgan like last week, talking about how she saw like the connections in between other martial arts, but it's the same thing. You can take that understanding from martial arts and take it to other things.
Yeah.
Because because like that's just one craft that you do.
Yeah.
Then you see other crafts that you've done, like learning or academics or for you term the medical field, and you see how that goes.
Because she talked about cooking, right? And like being a chef and the
creativity.
creativity.
Just elbow.
Elbow the chicken.
tenderize
She needs to be on Food Network.
Yeah.
I feel like this will be a great crossover.
Morgan she's really pretty, and she's very like, you're like, oh, she's not aggressive, and she's like, so we're gonna just tenderize the phone.
And you know what? Ender, who's not here, has to be like the assistant. He's like the guy carrying the chicken.
He's like Mamma Mia. So weird say Mamma Mia.
It makes no sense. They're making steak. Yeah. Or they're making Chinese food. Mamma Mia. Exactly.
I told you, motherfucker.
Yeah. I told you. Stop saying that.
No, but because I totally see the same thing too, because I'm because when I do like stand-up comedy, like I sense the same way, because I approach it the same way in terms of just like how I think, and I feel the biggest thing that helps me, like people are like, how does that help you in terms of stand-up comedy? I feel it makes me understand my voice, like from there, or who I am as a person.
Yeah.
Because I feel like when I talk on there, I talk as me, because I don't need to talk as anybody else.
Yeah, because so many comedians will totally be like, I'm doing Dave Chappelle or Chris Rock, or like they'll kind of like because you watch and you kind of emulate what you want to be, right? But I think that at a certain point you have to kind of come into yourself and that
quote unquote be yourself. But like that's the thing, because I remember I watched a lot of comedy And then I really enjoyed jokes, and it just became like who I was as a person, like as a joking person. I know
Jokes
you guys
and
might
jokes
be
and
jokes
jokes
and jokes. Again. But yeah, but that's how I feel, because I feel like when I talk, I just talk as me. But then also you guys know me. You guys know that I make jokes. But I mean I'm serious. But in essence, like the joke, I also seriously joke. From there, or I joke serious.
I remember when you first started doing stand-up, and then there was a couple people in the gym who were like, "Oh, it's not that funny." I was like, "Motherfucker, you go do it."
Yeah.
Like that's all I type. That's the perfect response. I'm like,
Yeah.
So you think you're the funniest person?
Yeah.
You think you can come? It's hard.
No, and that's the thing. And that's the thing. I didn't know those people, but I don't know who those are. But fuck you guys. Because I don't care. But that's the same thing too. You have to go about it and do your own. Like, am I the funniest? Like, that's the thing. That doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
It's the same way that look at martial arts. Like, does it matter if I'm the best? Like, why do I have to be the best to do it?
Yeah.
I do it because I enjoy it. Like, are you the best at asking me your bullshit questions when people do that? Like, clearly not, because I've heard better bullshit questions. How about you shut up and go on your life? And stop wasting my time. No, but that's just it. But then see, that's me. That's the way I've understood. Oh, that is me. Like people, because people like talked about me like having attitude problems, like when I was a kid, or like being sarcastic.
It's
like, yeah, me? What? And I go like, but Mark's like, man, fuck those people. Yeah. And it's like, I don't give a shit.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah. And then like, but then of course you see how that's carried over, like to me as the person I am now. But I think a big thing needs understanding. Oh yeah, that is who I am as a person, and if people have a problem with that, they can get out of my life.
Yeah.
So that's fine. But I think and that's what happens. Like with martial arts, that's how I've been able to structure like my life like that. And then it's like you don't have when I do something, I do it because I enjoy it. Like I don't. I mean, some people need to have like that drive, like what Scott was saying, like to be the best. Like for me, I still compete, but I don't need to be. I don't need to think of myself. I need to put that additional pressure.
Yeah.
I still go in there, still train, and but I don't need to win. But the biggest important things for me is learning, getting better, and figuring out new things, and being around people that I enjoy being around. And that's what it is at the end of the day. Because that's how I think about. Okay, what do I want at the end of it? What do I want when like out of life? Like I don't. It's not the money, or it's not like the accomplishments. Like from that, like all I want is. I enjoy the learning, I enjoy the activity, and I enjoy like being around people that being around people that I can talk, not necessarily the same, but people that I can interact with. Yeah. From there, and that's ultimately what life is. That's that social structure. So like, why can't I have that now? And then find a way to cultivate that for something else. So that's the way I looked about it. He's not that funny. It's good. No, but it's good because but that's linked to it. It also just shows like. Because a lot of people end up, expecting a lot out of themselves, and I think, in essence, like when you do that, you put all these like pretenses or.
But when they said that, I was just like, okay. I was like, people can have an opinion literally about anything. It can be super negative. Yeah. And it's
let me tell you something, Scott, about that. What do you think?
You saw it recently. I was making a joke about the Second Amendment, and then
yes, I did. Yes,
I got into a 2-hour conversation with somebody
really?
Who literally just had all these facts. They're loaded for that conversation. They're very knowledgeable.
Had they prepared for the conversation?
No. It was like, let me tell you something about that.
And of course, how they had a lot of questions that I didn't have the answer to, but it was just one of those things where it's like people are. It's an art to listen. And it's also an art to like not be unnecessarily critical, right? Yeah. Because if you're being critical and it's used to like enhance the person, that's great. Yeah. But if it's used to just like tear somebody down and just literally to be an asshole, it's like no, I agree with Pochola. Get the fuck out of my life. Like that's really. And I hate this negative energy, negative vibes, man. Yeah. But it's so true.
Yeah, man, it feels so negative, man.
Oh, man. Because there's a difference between being negative and then just keeping it fucking real. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And you got to trust them. For me, there's only certain people in my life that I'll be like, you can keep it real with me. Like, you can really just, no bullshit, give me the real. Yeah. I want the real about what's going on right now. And there's some people, it's just like, you don't know me well enough to do that. Yeah. So you can keep it real with me, and I'll just go, kind of like you. I'm like, okay. You don't know me from Adam. You don't know me or what I went through.
Exactly. It's like why are you talking to me like that?
Yeah.
Like, from there. Like,
but there's a way to receive that respectfully. Like
Yes.
someone will walk up to you and go, "Hey, Marcelo, I really didn't enjoy your stand-up." You can be like, "Okay, thank you." Like,
thank you.
it's like O'Malley right now.
Yeah.
The guy who's about to fight is talking all this shit and like texting him like, "You got bullied when you were in school. Those tattoos don't make you tough." And O'Malley's like, "Thanks, bro." And then he's like, "Yeah, you're gonna get your ass with da-da-da." And he's like, "I know, man. I know." Like that's the perfect way to respond.
Yeah, it is. It's like, yep, you're right. You know, like it's
it's like that. No response is still a response. Like from there, because you don't need to entangle yourself.
Yeah.
With
and
that.
Nobody does that with fucking McGregor. Nobody.
No.
Nobody's been like, "Oh, cool story, man." Cool.
Yeah.
They're like,
Nate Diaz did.
"Oh, well, Nate was like,
fuck you,
fuck you, grab ass in the park."
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
touch
just like
butt.
touch butt in the park with guys.
Touch butt, the guy with the ponytail.
With that fucking door. I ain't got no
Yeah.
training partner.
You don't have no trading partner.
No.
Yeah. And then Carl.
Bro, I'm literally, I'm not surprised, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Well, that's different. That's the Diaz.
That's keeping it real on a different level.
Those guys come from the shit.
Yeah.
That's all.
That's pretty funny. But yeah, it's like, but it's just also it's just understanding people that you want in your life. You know, like people can come in and say all that, but in essence, like how much their words only matter as much as you give it to them.
Yeah,
or they only have as much power as you give them.
Yeah.
Like from there, and I feel like that's the biggest thing. Because I remember when, I remember just a conversation last week. That was off the record, but we were just talking about people that we have in our lives. That aren't necessarily. I mean, not that they're bad people, but they're not necessarily good to be when they're around us.
Yeah.
And it's just figuring out that, sometimes like when it's not abandoning them, like to not be around them, it's sometimes because you're hurting yourself by being around them in essence. You're not there because they're not getting help from you.
It's like, what can I do for you? Really, that's what ends up. What am I doing for you?
Yeah.
Like that's my first response now. Is like even we talked about dating relationships and stuff. People are like, "Scott, you dating?" I'm like, "No, I'm just chilling right now because I'm really like, man, what can I do for another person that I let to get that close to me?"
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, but
that's the real.
No, but that's a good way to look at it because that's essentially what relationships are, or not just romantic relationships, but friendships like this. Like we're around each other because we're going towards a common goal. We're talking about things that we understand, but we're moving towards something, If I'm around somebody and we're just, we're not moving towards anything, then I feel like, I'm wasting my time. Like from there, and then this person's not getting anything out of it. If I'm not getting anything out of it, what's the point for me?
Yeah.
So I'm like, I know what I'm getting out of here,
Yeah.
From there, because that's how I look at relationships, It's got to be moving towards
Are
something.
you wasting my time? That's what I mean. Are we wasting each other?
Yeah, we're wasting each other because I feel like if you're wasting my time, then I'm wasting your time.
And that
Then
just
we're
happens when
not
you get older too. I'm 29. I'm like,
Yeah.
man, I've been there and I've done all the other shit with dating relationships and friendships. Like
Yeah.
dating relationships, I've had the just quick whatever, and then with friendships, I've had the just friendship that was based on just one thing.
Yeah.
And I'm sober now, so it's like I had friends that I got fucked up with all the time. I have friends that I kicked with being really stupid and reckless shit.
Yeah.
And it's like I'm mature.
But you're not into just
Yeah.
getting fucked up anymore. You're not into doing reckless shit. So
Yeah.
that relationship isn't there.
Because it's like I'm not benefiting. The way that's set up, I'm not benefiting anymore.
Yeah.
I'm actually hurting myself too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's just that's an honest thing, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that is, and it's just looking into your life and seeing how you can. I think it's just looking through life and seeing things that can benefit you and how you can grow from it.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, like you were talking about it earlier, but talking about how your injury made you like look into things a little bit differently. So like, how did that? So how could you like talk about that?
Yeah. So it was I think end of September I got injured. And so
Tore your ACL.
Yeah, so tore my ACL, and I think and I think my attitude towards just training, except for when I was studying for the MCAT, it was just be in the gym, as many days a week, just doing conditioning even when I didn't have a fight, just like it was. I mean, it was
more.
Yeah, it was like, but it was very much an idea of like I need to just go hard all the time and always be like doing this. And I mean, it's just, but like this idea of like you don't take breaks, right? Like I remember like it was funny because my Pat and I we had our anniversary in March, our wedding anniversary, and our first anniversary. He was like, "What did we do?" And I realized I trained. Yeah, and then I realized also
shout out to Pat.
Yeah, brother.
Pat, I love you.
Shout out to you, brother.
What did we do on our first anniversary?
He's like, Shatreen, you were at the goddamn gym.
It was really like he was like looking through and he's like, "What?" He's like, "You're at the gym." And then every single and then this past year since I was injured, this is the first year I haven't had a bruise. I haven't had a black eye on my anniversary. Every single year Pat's gone out, I've got this big black eye. I don't know, Pat's like,
that does look so bad. Yeah.
Pat and I, whenever we went to Thriftway, this grocery store, and like I remember, we went up to like our favorite cashier, and I had this big black eye, and when I'm like smiling at her, and she like looks at me, and then looks at Pat, and then looks at me, and just looks like really. You could just see the disgust on her face, like she was just completely judging, and Pat, of course, like poor guy, he's like such a gentle giant. He was like,
that's the thing, because like that's funny because you can. Because I know what Pat looks like.
Well, it's like if anyone's getting their ass.
Like, no, you don't understand. And then she's done to me. You can't see. It starts.
But it's
that wouldn't hurt a fly.
I look at Pat. I'm like, what?
I know it's like, but but I remember I just had this attitude of just train. Like I remember it was my birthday and I had the flu, and Jenna, Bambi was like, you have the flu and it's your birthday and you're training, but it was that mentality of like you need to train no matter what. And so then when I had this injury where it's like no, like don't. Like this is stupid. You're gonna do more harm to you. And when I didn't train, and then when I had the surgery, it really it allowed me to take a step back. And I remember coming into the gym and it's I remember you showed me that when Dominic Cruz with Joe Rogan and he was talking about being injured and and it's just and so much of it is it's really about that mentality of just being away, and like the surgeon being like, well, it's gonna be a year before you're really fully back, and it's like. It's just hard, to go to the gym and to be like watching people, because I remember it was like probably 4 weeks after my surgery, and I remember going there and wanting to shadow box and like kind of starting to and being like and being like, no, that hurts, like but I think that's the thing that's hard, is that it's like right now, like for the past month, I've kind of taken a break away from it, because I've noticed that when I go in there, it's like this like urge that I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to do this. But then it's like, when I've done that, I pushed myself beyond. Like I've definitely trained through injuries, which hasn't been wise either. So I think the good thing about this is that it also, because, I think it's not healthy to just do, train like, so much that you're not getting rest, that you're overtraining. Yeah. But then so for me right now, it's finding that balance of where, I can train, I can enjoy myself, but then I can still progress, and so
finding that balance in terms of like how active and how restful.
Yeah, because I think, like I remember the one vacation that Pat and I went on in the past, but really before, like in the past, like whatever 4 years I had been at the gym, or 5 years, like it was when I took him to Hawaii. And we were training
at the gym.
At Haru's gym. Yeah, we were training there, and he was like, "This is our vacation," and it was Greg, me, and Eileen training for like 5 hours a day, and like Pat was just like, "This is not a vacation," but I mean, and I think that that kind of now I'm thinking like I want a more balanced relationship with it, and also because
that's why like I get. So, because there's a couple guys in the gym that like to give me diet advice, and like
and I'm sick of it.
Well, I'm not sick of it because
Abercrombie looking.
See, we're gonna need T-shirts.
Abercrombie looking motherfuckers.
Anyway, sorry, Scott. We totally undermined.
I don't say that. No, I don't say that bad. I appreciate it because I've learned that comes from a place of like
because it's
like they shouldn't care.
Yeah.
But like for me, I used to diet so hardcore when I was fighting. Like I very rarely. I gave myself like a week.
I remember you would freak out when you ate a cookie.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, I would. I was so.
He was just. Yeah, he was. Yeah,
I was so tense, and so when I eat what I want now, I'm just like, and I tell him I'm like I'm not fighting. I don't give a fuck. Like That's why I love DJ because he's like, hey Scott, how much you weigh? And I'm like, dude, like fucking 180. He's like, good. Like it's like he wants me to get big.
No, because Scott. Because DJ saw Scott when he was there and
when he was at his
and then like getting just struggle, and I feel like it's a freeing sense like from there, and I feel that's why because like it's like when it's. I feel like because you almost repressed yourself in that sense, is like trying to make
it's
that
like
weight.
5 years of just like
just eating like
and I had to because now I'm looking at like just this and it's like I'm a big 135er. Right? And so I had to do that to stay lean. So it's like for me
your natural weight was just higher.
But you had to like deprive yourself in order to to maintain.
I should probably. But it was like that taught me about balance because it's like okay, like McGregor said something really like if you're gonna eat the burger, just eat the goddamn burger, like just do it
and enjoy it.
Have that balance. Right?
That's
intense personalities, like especially you and I. We're just, it's got to be like this because in our mind, it's like we're so competitive with ourselves within that imaginary fighter who's training that doesn't exist. Oh, they're running right now. What's their name? I can't give you their name.
I don't know, but I know they're out there.
And they're getting better.
I know they're getting better. They're like, they're in Thailand training right now. I'm like, it's really like, it's like this imaginary fighter and. And it's funny because you just build. I remember the first time I did a smoker, you were like Shatreen, lower your expectations. Like really, like it's gonna be just like this because I really I've been watching so many Muay Thai and high level fights that I was like, super technical, crazy.
No, I remember you trained it, and I was like,
Irvin needs to hear that. He still does that.
Really?
Oh yeah.
But I tell that to Irving all the time. But I feel it's funny because. I'm around all these like intense personalities, and it's not like my personality is not intense, but I'm really calm and like more laid back.
You're like One Punch Man.
I'm like One Punch Man.
I'm
just like real serene. But no, because that's the thing. I'm very used to like putting myself like in the fire, and I just understand like what it takes from there. But and I feel that's why I can connect well with all of you because I know where you're coming from, but I also know like hey wait maybe that's not necessarily the best. Coming from there.
I think having you in my corner has always been really comforting to me because it's always like, just relax. Like you're just, it's just calm down. Like I remember before a smoker, I was listening to some meditation and I remember like I was lying there and I can't remember someone was trying to like bother me and you're like, knock it off. Because for me, like I'm already so amped up that I don't need, like there are people who listen to like heavy metal or hardcore rap. They'll be like listening to like really hardcore stuff to get like, but my heart rate is already so high because I'm already amped up.
You're amped up. You don't need anything else.
I need that for me. I need to calm down, and bring it down because, that intensity is already there, So
the situation itself is like already intense. And my last couple of fights, I got to that place where I was just pretty serene. Like I fell asleep in my amateur.
Just like Hendo?
Yeah, no, have you ever heard about the Dan Henderson story?
No.
So Dan Henderson falls asleep before every fight.
Yeah, and then they wake him up. He falls asleep pretty much and they're back. Just old ass Dan Henderson. And they're like, Dan, you're up. And he's like, I'm up. Wrap the right hand.
They put one slash his hand.
Like, it's gonna be one for the good girl. Like you say that every time, Dan. God damn it, that right hand lands. Like falls asleep.
But it just shows like the state of mind. And I agree. Like, I've talked to Irving too about this, but he amped himself so up, and especially when we talked to him about his fight that happened in February, he just had like this
really high expectations.
He's like
a lot of pressure.
Yeah,
really?
He put a lot of undue pressure that wasn't necessary like for himself, and it's not like he did bad. It's just that. In his mind, he made like every, I guess, everything that wasn't ideal even bigger than what it was.
He was thinking too much in there.
Yeah.
And it's like I learned something new with going through that with Irving because it was like his cousin had died in a motorcycle accident, I think. And his cousin was the one who gave him money to train at AMC.
Really?
And he said this to him. He's like, I was just helping a kid get on the right path. So it's like, what do you say? Don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't think about that. Don't cherish that.
Yeah.
So I had to tread very lightly and go, that moment can be separate from you going in there and fighting. That moment can literally just be what motivates you every day to go and train
Yeah.
and to go and get those extra rounds in, to be super attentive and to ask all the questions and to just get the most out of the experience. Because I think that's what really did him in that fight, is he, in his mind,
the expectations.
he's like, this is for you. You know, I know you're somewhere. And, versus just kind of separating that moment out. So I was glad to walk through that with him, because it's difficult. Because we talked about our pain and our facing ourselves. It's like, we have trauma. Like, I would think about the craziest shit before I would fight. Like, I would just turn it into some gangster shit real quick. I'm like, motherfuckers trying to kill me before. They won't this time. And it's like, no, no one's going to kill you.
It's not this referee.
No, but that's the thing, that's what you needed in there. And I feel like everyone has to go into like a different kind of mindset. You know, like for me, like I don't really think about that kind of stuff. I was like, well, someone's about to get fucked up. All right, here we go. And then it's just how it's everyone, because everyone's thought patterns are different. So like, even though I can only really like tell you like, you know, what works for me or like what I see like from you. But you know, everyone thinks differently. But because that's the thing, no one person. It's just like the same thing when I say like you can't like fight like person. I can't make you think like in a way. You're gonna think the way you are, but it's a matter of you understanding the way you think. From there, I think is what's important. But and I know this is like an offshoot, but I'm just remembering when you were cutting weight like for your fight, and then like Scott, like we were at her like apartment complex. So there's like an exercise point of it, but there was a point where she's like hitting pads, and I remember Bronte was there. Bronte looked outside, and there was like just this young Asian girl like watching Shatreen like kick pads. And like, do you remember that?
No, I don't.
Oh, you don't remember that? But anyway, so I'm just holding pads for Shatreen. Shatreen's like kicking the pads, and this like young, I don't know, probably like 8 years old girl is just watching Shatreen. And then like when she noted that we were looking at her, she just runs off. So
it's like fucking Braveheart. When he's like kill William Wallace, and he's like, they're putting the rope around his neck, and he's like staring out of the crowd. The little boy staring at him. Back and forth. You will be the next one.
No, because Bronte laughed at that. It's like, oh yeah, that girl might have gotten inspired today. You know, from seeing something. Because I feel that's the thing. Because we went back, we talked about the hyper masculine thing. It's almost like I feel like for me to get into fighting wasn't that hard, because just a male is like almost expected, or like not expected, but it's more the norm. Like, it's like, but I feel that was like it really rendered it like in me like, oh yeah, that girl had probably never seen anything like that before. It never been made possible for her that she could do something like that, and she sees somebody, you know, doing something that in
real life,
in real life, like something that she could tangibly, because like the way. Because I remember like the way she was totally focused on like what you were doing, and it's like and then it's like but you were just focused on the weight cut.
I was just like, I was like, Patrol, I want cake from QFC.
I was like,
and then there was this really old guy that was there too.
He was in the bathroom.
It was really good. It was really fucking gross.
Well, don't worry, I kicked the shit out of it.
Yeah, don't worry. Then I called the cops. On myself, because I was an old man.
What a twist!
Pankration philosophy.
That's amazing.
That's good. It just shows, because that's the thing. It's like what Scott said, like seeing it in the real, and it makes it more possible for you. And it just made me think about. I was talking to a friend of mine. He was just saying, we were talking about just high performers, or like, it was like these like sports things, but there was like a baseball player like from like small island. It was like somewhere in the Caribbean, and he was like the first baseball player to come out of that place. But then as soon as he came, like 10 years later, like 50 people from there, because it's just like it all became real. They said, oh hey, Roberto did it. That means we can all do it. Like from there, and I feel that's a powerful thing. I think we forget like how much we influence other things.
There's significance of acts of courage. Both those are examples of acts of courage. Fighting isn't easy, you know. Playing professional sports or leaving your country to go play somewhere else, that's a lot of courage. So leading by example, you know. And that just puts that whole saying into practice, where it's like you never know who's watching. You just don't know who you've inspired, even in the small little venues in which you've performed, or you know. That's why we can't act like what we do is ever like insignificant.
I think it's easy for us to be like, oh well, you know, it's just that fight or whatever. Like, you know, like you just don't think like, oh, who's gonna remember? Like, oh yeah, that one and Edmonds, like, you know, like you just, you know, we kind of like write it off.
You brush it off.
Yeah, because it's like, oh, that fight in Edmonds, or oh, that one. Like, you know, like you always have a story and it's something that you brush off, but it's not, but you never know, because there have definitely been fights that I've watched where I'm like, you know, like, that's like, you know, like I remember, I think it was, I was telling you about this, but I remember the first time I think I saw Morgan fight was West Coast Fight Team, and that was our first knockout, and that was. But my
was there.
Yeah.
You get back in there, Josephine, or it is over.
No, I remember that. I remember I didn't know it was Morgan at the time, but now like looking back, but like I remember like seeing like the woman was stunned, and like like her corner being like pushing her back in there, like, and I'm
They
like,
shouldn't have put her back in.
I know, it's like, why are you doing that? But like,
is it a bad knockout?
it was bad. Like it was.
Her leg is worn quite underneath her.
Yeah.
And I feel like that last shot really just took.
Yeah.
Is it on YouTube?
I don't know.
I don't know if it is.
Maybe
but,
we can ask Morgan.
Yeah, we can ask if she has it. But I
Yeah.
remember like that. I remember seeing that, and like that was, you know, like
it's funny. I didn't remember until you mentioned that. I was like, oh yeah, I definitely saw someone get.
Yeah,
oh,
yeah,
no,
and I think and I think it was Morgan, because I remember fighting later that night.
Yeah.
And then I remember that was like because the girl I fought, and I told you this, like it was a boxing match.
Yeah.
And it was like supposed to be kickboxing, but then like 2 minutes before, like Monica came over and was like, pull off your like, you know, your shin pads when it's a boxing match. I was like, what? Like I was like fine, and then
which is funny because she got knocked out by a right hand.
So then ended by TKO because
she's stunned.
You knocked out your opponent.
Well, it was a TKO though. It was the same. It was like the same situation where it was
they
like
put her back in there though.
It was like Morgan's at our gym, and it's like
I think the actions like not being insignificant is a big thing, and especially there's a lot more. You have a lot more purpose to that. I remember I was just walking in Seattle, and then I saw. Actually, it was the opponent I fought in my first.
Oh yeah, I remember you said that.
Yeah, because he recognized
He's like,
me.
Pachola,
I was like, yeah, there's no one else named.
You're like look around.
Yeah. No, I'm like, I know, but I recognize him too because that's the thing. It's pretty surreal because it's like we were at that point. We were at points. You remember that fight? We were trying to kill each other.
Yeah, I remember watching that. It was like, whoa, like it was pretty real.
Yeah, was that the he trained with that boxing?
That boxing.
What was the Rude Awakening?
Yeah, Rude Awakening.
That was in.
That was him. Yeah, Dylan Sayre.
That kid was
cool.
He was tough. Yeah, but that's the thing. He remembered me, and he goes like, yeah, man. And just talked about how he's doing and stuff like that. And he comes up. Hey, man, I don't know if you remember me. I'm like, of course I'm gonna remember.
You're like,
come
on.
Exactly,
we tried to kill each other.
We tried to kill each other for almost 10 minutes. So it's like I'm not gonna forget you. From them, but it's like it's that surreal moment where you realize like, oh, I'm connected to this person.
Yeah.
No matter what they do in life, like he's gonna look back. Oh yeah, I remember that. That one night, and then the same thing.
Else witnesses connected to it too. It's like you created these stories. And it's like Colin tells. My brother Colin tells the craziest story about my knockout win when I defended my Genesis
Defended your title? Yeah. And
so,
you're floating?
So it's crazy. I fought this guy, BJ Stan Lucas, and he clipped me in the first round. I was wobbly. I ended up turning him and throwing a straight right and just KOing him. Then after that, I just lost it. I was yelling, "This is my belt, motherfucker!" Just screaming. And so I remember running around. This is my perspective.
Yeah.
I remember running around the ring and just saying that over and over again, and then jumping in the air and then just landing crisscross applesauce, and then just meditating like this and not moving. And then anyway.
Yeah.
My quarter came in. That's what I remember. So
I remember seeing.
This is what DJ remembers. DJ remembers sitting there, and then I'll just talk about Colin and seeing me. And then Steve Skids, my other coach, is here. He was a coach of Pacific, and he's trying to grab me. He's like, "Stop, calm down, and reach, and reach." And then so DJ goes like this and grabs his arm. And he's like, "No, he needs this." No, he needs this. And then Colin was like, "Bro, I was so fucking high. All I remember is I was like, Colin ran up and put his arm through the ropes and was banging on the canvas and going, yeah. He said he remembers looking at Wiki and Mizuno, the two Japanese fighters. And he said they just look like anime characters. They're like, they were just like, and after the fight, Mizuno walked up to me. He goes, "You you're crazy. You're crazy.
That's the only English we know.
Yeah. So it's like these awesome memories, and a bunch of my friends from Tacoma were there. A bunch of guys like hung out with, and my cousin was there. And it's cool because like that's the other aspect of fighting or just competing in something like this is like it brings people together, which is fucking tight. And then you form this memory because of how intense it is.
Yeah.
You're watching your friend, your loved one, whoever go in there and do that.
Yeah.
And then it sucks because I don't have that same story with him that you do with your guy. Like, I tried to go and talk to him, he did not want to talk to me. And that's when I learned. DJ was like, "Dude, I don't talk to my opponents afterwards, especially if I knock them out." It's like,
some of them, I mean. Like, it's not.
Well, some of them got blinded forever by Conor McGregor. But anyway.
Who got blinded forever?
Ray Borg.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, it's true. It's like, you have these connections and, you don't even, like one of my favorite kind of Muay Thai bloggers, writers, Sylvie.
Sylvie, I follow her.
But she always nurtures these really great relationships with all her former opponents. Like she's on, like and that's the thing that I love is that, she does Muay Thai in Thailand and like, she nurtures these relationships and she really tries to like empower them. Like she always posts the stories about them, like winning this belt or this. Like she doesn't like it's such a like she doesn't see it as her own ego. Like she sees it as this collective like empowerment.
It's not like war where it's like you shoot this fucking ISIS guy and it's we went shot him and just blew his leg.
You attack a bus, you know.
No, but I think that's very significant too. Just the fact that it's women's Muay Thai, and I feel that's an even smaller community or in terms of population wise. And I feel because I remember because I don't know I think we just both found it and then we were talking about it, but it's very because she approaches it in a very thoughtful way, and it's because like fighting for her was like. It was a very I don't know if spiritual is the right word, but I guess maybe it was like it was very like mentally building. Like for her. So
it's like you may not be best friends with it ruins it when you have an opponent who's just super disrespectful. Right. But even like there was some like redemptive quality after McGregor knocked out Aldo where he was like he felt sympathy because he's like that was too quick. You didn't even get a chance to show your game. Let's run it back. Or like, and I've seen McGregor after all that shit talking be really cordial with it.
It's interesting because it's like then you see like these outbursts, but then you see like but then after some fights like he's so gracious. Or even when Mayweather TKO'd him, he was like you should have just let him put me out. But he was also very gracious as well. Like
fucking paycheck.
Exactly. Oh what?
You'd be gracious for But I mean it's there's something about having that mutual respect. Where it's where you both are you're both facing the same things. Everyone's going through this different experience. But it's very much a shared they all have their own experiences, but it's a very much a shared thing. And
it's a very shared thing, and it's such a like Scott was saying, it's such a memory, but it's not just like regular memory. It's just because it's so rooted in just like the physical action of it. In terms, it's like a big, it's just so much like there's a lot of force behind it. And a lot of thinking behind it.
My tribe showed up. Your tribe showed up. We had this fight. We're cool now.
From there, and it's like that's the thing is it's not like we were friends, but we're all, like like I'm saying, like it's like I share that connection with like that, and I share that connection with all the people that I fought before. Well, whether I know it or not, and it's it's a very it's a thing. It's like they'll always remember me. I always remember like them. And it's a respect.
It's a respect.
Like, because I respect because they put it out on the line. They didn't have to. From there, and we because there was because it's almost like it's almost such a I guess not really but it's like a significant event. There's like there was a person I was before that fight, and then there's a person I was after that.
And it's each fight totally changes you and it affects you. It shapes you. It's like that's the thing is that each fight is significant. Even if it's this fight where this happened, or this fight where I've really shown, or this fight where I didn't. Like each fight is significant. And
Yeah, but and I feel like because at the end of the day, it's just that connection as a martial artist too,
Yeah.
and I feel, but that's the thing too, just also the people in lives, because it's not just like what, because I know you guys for years, but it's not like what doesn't matter is the amount of the years. It matters like what we did during those years is like more has been like really more significant than someone I might have known for like much longer than that. Like what do we really do? Oh, we played Tonka trucks or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like
or just work if you work if you've ever worked shitty jobs. That camaraderie might be just because you worked a shitty job.
Your camaraderie was just your camaraderie was just a shitty
yeah.
job. When the shitty job's done, you're like, hey, remember that shitty job we were at?
Yeah,
You guys completely different. It's like but this is really like a shared life experience. It's like you're going through it together. You're talking. It's not just like, oh, we train and then we're done. It's like there is like this constant engagement. It's like even if I've been out of the gym for like a month, like Greg will text me and be like, hey, what's up? What's going on? It's like it's just a constant engage. It feels like a lifelong engagement and like that kind of relationship that I've built through this. So
Oh, and then speaking of which, that's why it's very powerful. I remember because you mentioned how you watched Dominic Cruz video. I showed you. Are you familiar with that? It was when Dominic Cruz went on Joe Rogan. But anyway, he's just talking about his injury. Well, it's not the whole part. It was just a snippet about Dominic Cruz talking about his injury. And I think the biggest thing, like for me, it was that he was talking about how he had to let go of himself and what that because he was just so attached to himself as the fighter. And that he had to realize like, oh no, I don't have. And it wasn't like a spiritual thing. He was just like, oh, it was just a thing for me to actualize the injury. He had to realize like, oh, I am not the end. It was I can't really quite say it like in his words, but it spoke to me because it just showed because I just know because I knew Dominic Cruz as a fighter and a great fighter coming in and then like having devastated like Ace like not once but twice and then getting all these like pretty much an abundance of injuries.
Well, he was chasing who he used to be before the injury. Yeah, he probably said. And that happens even in coming back. Like for me in training, like I'm coming back, and then there's this knowledge of who I am or what I've done, but I'm not like I was so detached from that. Then when I came back, I was just like, oh, you know about me? Like,
legendary.
What the fuck did I do?
Legendary Scott.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like that, and then even how my performance has changed. Like I still have the same techniques, but my game's a little different. It's like I even felt like I still do this in sparring sessions where there's no stakes for me. It doesn't matter if I get submitted. What happens to me if I win or lose is of no consequence, especially now. Before, to me, it did matter. Now, I don't care. You can mount me for an entire round. I just don't give a fuck. It is what it is. But I still have that small voice in my head that's like, you can't let that happen. And you used to do. It's just ego. So I think what Cruz is doing, he's like, look, this is. And that's why Aljamain's cool, but it's like, bro, you're going to call out Dominic. He's done, bro. Like, after Aljamain Sterling, after his UFC victory, called out Dominic Cruz, and it's like, nah, bro, fight probably not going to happen.
Yeah, but you just probably want just the biggest name. But I feel like, just being able to let go or like not being who your accomplishments are. Like, or not being in that, because I want, in essence, like, that's what I want to do too. Like, because I don't need to be like anybody, or I don't need to gauge myself from that. Like, who I am today is just who I am, and that's just what happens from there. Well,
I think we've definitely seen, I don't know, like, people who really base themselves around being this big fighter, like John Jones or, like Conor McGregor. And it's like,
what's going to happen when that he's gone?
And it's like Ronda Rousey, where it's like, what happens when you're not what
happens when Amanda Nunes punches Ronda Rousey out of you?
Punches your soul out of you.
But like it's really like if your identity is so framed around being a fighter or a champion or whatever, like it really doesn't allow you to, have any room for error or any room for growth. Really, it's like, and I think that's kind of something that
because you almost pigeonhole yourself.
It's like it's like if I'm not this, then there's nothing that exists outside of this, and what am I? And then I think that's really where you start destroying yourself.
So that's I totally agree. Well, man, it's getting real dark. So I think
this is one of our longest podcasts.
I
can't even see myself anymore.
Oh my gosh! Was this like 3 hours?
No, this is our longest podcast. So thank you for joining us. If you've made it this long.
Thank you, Shatreen.
Thank you, Shatreen, for joining us. And no thanks to Ender for not being here. But talking about important things, let's talk about our Patreon. www.patreon.com/.
Please donate.
Pankration Philosophy. Yes.
Action Gene sponsorship.
Action Gene sponsorship.
Wearing them right now.
Yeah. Thank you for
Yeah.
listening, and we appreciate your viewership. Bye, everybody.
Bye.